Are you sitting comfortably? Then we'll begin.
10 minutes left. Yeah, but there's still some time. It's not the final score. We need more than the numbers we're given. Show us you live and breathe the game. You're more than a name. That's what we came for. We can bring you more than the score. Every story. Let's take this thing off of the field into the real world, away from the numbers,
Hey, everybody, and welcome to another episode of There's Still Time, the AFTN Soccer Show, broadcasting on CITR Radio 101.9 FM from the unceded Musqueam Territory at the University of beautiful British Columbia. I'm Michael McCall.
And I'm Zachary Adam Eisenhammer.
And of course, we're back with another packed show. Lots to talk about once again. The football just keeps coming across the country with so much to talk about. We're going to talk Whitecaps, we're going to talk MLS, we're going to talk the salaries that dropped this week, and there's certainly some interesting ones in amongst that. We're going to look at the Whitecaps' success with the girls' elite team, WFC2, bring you an interview with Levonte Johnson, one of the performers of WFC2, and I think the next guy many of us think is going to make the breakthrough to the first team. We'll talk FIFA as well. The Under-20 World Cup's got underway, and we've got to talk about the horrendous World Cup 26 logo that was released this week. We'll get into all of that.
Is it that horrible?
Oh, I think so. Let's save that talk for part 4. Okay. But
I'm not saying I love it or anything. I just don't know if it's horrible.
It's not great, but yeah, we'll get into that in part 4. And of course, we'll bring you our usual splattering of fantastic music as well. Before we get into any of that, how has your week been, Zach?
What has my week been? Yeah, it's been okay. I had a really good time watching our away match versus Forge at the Brookswood Brewing Company in South Langley. I
was going to ask about that because we're not going to talk much CPL if at all in this, just because we've got so much stuff to cram in. But I mean, how was that? Was it a good turnout? It was a decent enough performance considering coming off that 5-0 defeat. I wondered that might hit your attendance numbers for review.
Well, I mean, dude, it was a 4 o'clock on a Friday.
Oh yeah, that as well.
We were in South Langley. I mean, it was. I mean, there was whatever, like, I don't know, 18, 20 of our people plus a number of other people in the pub. And
hey, that's good.
And then 5 of the players came and hung out. So,
oh, nice.
A Bitar was there and Wentworth, Amir. Who else was there? Kane. And who's the last? And Mail Henri was there as well.
Ah.
Yeah, so that was really nice, and it's been great. It's been one of the places that has actually been really proactive in reaching out to the fanatics and saying, "Hey, we really want to do some stuff together." And so,
excellent.
We knew it was Friday, 4 o'clock. We knew it was not ideal, but it was nice to have a bunch of people there, including a few families. And it was a little bit weird for me hanging out in South Langley at a place called BBC. That was different than the BBC I used to hang out in.
And very different to the BBC that I know as well.
Exactly.
And have hung out at times as well over my time over there.
But it was great, and again, kudos to the team and to Afshin for the performance. I think the solidification of that 4 at the back, that would just, I think, the way we talked about on the last podcast, the way what he needed to do with Quack at right back and Crawford left back and Ibra and Pele in the middle. Obviously, we didn't produce a lot going forward, but I think in a match like that, I think it's a very, very respectable draw. And of course, the first ever league clean sheet. So Yeah, exciting.
I hadn't
It
clicked
was
with
exciting.
that, but yeah.
Yeah, it was encouraging. Again, all the matches so far, except for one, we've
Yeah, I mean,
battled.
it's been encouraging, and there's been a lot to take from it. I mean, even that Ottawa game, I think it's maybe been like every team sometimes needs that moment of, oh, wait a minute, look what this team's just done to us. But then you go and see Ottawa get spanked by Cavalry this week as well.
Well, exactly. I don't remember saying on the show last week, but I was talking to, I think it was Callum's dad after the game, and he was like, "Yeah, last year Ottawa, who finished top of the league table, they got crushed by York one match, like or York or no Valor. I think it was Valor 6-1 or something. So it happens from
It's
time
a
to time.
weird league. And I mean, it's one of those leagues everyone is capable of beating everyone, and you can say that for a lot of leagues around the world, although not all. But I wanted to talk to you about the 4 p.m. kickoff. Now, we've talked before in the show, these Friday night games, it's because the CFL owners say we do that in the CFL. This is what's great. You saw that crowd in Forge, and it was not great. You've got a holiday Monday weekend. Surely that's when you want to put the games on a holiday and get folk to come out and make a big occasion of it.
I totally hear you. You see, I think our other game at Forge is also a Friday night, our other away game there, which is fine. I mean, it is what it is. You know, Mitchell and Young or whatever, they want Friday night games at their stadium. They like that as a part of the culture within their community, and they want, I guess, both kinds of football on Friday night as much as possible. And yeah,
But do the fans is the question, and it's like surely you have to factor that into it.
yeah. I mean, I'm thankful. I think we only have one or two games at home that are on Fridays.
Yeah, that Pacific one.
That's unfortunate, but the other
That's
Pacific
very
one is
unfortunate.
the other Pacific one is a 1 o'clock Saturday. So hopefully that more,
Which is also slightly unfortunate for the travelling fans as well, because it's a super early start. Because I know, like, when the island teams come over to play League One, they're having to get the ferries at like 7, 8 in the morning, and it's not conducive to a team doing well. I mean, I'd imagine Pacific would come over the night before.
yeah.
Interestingly, talking of that, like the Whitecaps for their game against Pacific this week, which we won't delve into actually in this podcast, because we hope to bring out an extra podcast just looking specifically at that game, just so we don't date this podcast right away, because it's obviously going to be coming out on Tuesday. That game's on Wednesday. We want to keep this kind of fresh for folk to listen to over the week. But like TSS went over on the Tuesday, trained at Starlight on the Tuesday afternoon, but the Whitecaps are training here and then getting the ferry Tuesday afternoon. And that's interesting. I would have thought they would have wanted to go over, because the last time, obviously Mark took the team over, we went and watched them over there at the training session on the Tuesday as well. Maybe they wanted to do things a little different this time.
Yeah, it'll be, well, of course, Vanny wasn't traveling with the team then. Right, Vanny was with the team,
Yeah,
so
that's
he's taking a
true.
different point. That would be one of my, yeah. I don't think I'll be able to join you for the pregame stuff or whatever, but that would be definitely one of my questions: is how he's approaching this differently, in particular because he was not involved in this way or in any
That would,
meaningful way last
yeah.
time.
I won't actually make the pre-game call as well, because it's right when I'm
Okay.
on the ferry. I'm going to try, but obviously internet connections on the ferry is not fantastic. But yeah, that's an interesting game this week. We've got the US Open Cup and we've got the Canadian Championship in full flow.
Yeah.
It's just so much football. I'm like talking about Vancouver FC. I got to see a couple of your guys on Saturday for Unity. They came on as subs, the development players. One of them, James Cameron, which set me off on lots of Titanic jokes during the commentary.
Yep.
It was a bit of a shipwreck actually for Unity. They got beat 4-0 by TSS. But they made amends today by spanking Nossamot 5-0. So there we go. Talking about leagues that everyone can beat everyone else. TSS on a run though. That's what you like to see. Get back in the Canadian Championship. Keep me in a job. But let's get into the meat and potatoes now of this show. And we're going to start by talking Whitecaps and Whitecaps in Major League Soccer. It was a 2-game week. They won one. They lost one. The Whitecaps' mammoth month of May is continuing apace. 5 games in 15 days under the belt so far. It's been a bit of a grind. It's going to be an 8-game month. It was starting to feel as well that they might maybe be undoing all the good work that they had done to turn the team's fortunes around. Because Glass City actually put a very interesting tweet out before the Seattle game that if they had lost that game against Seattle, they would have been on the same points as they were last year at this stage, where everyone talks about it being a terrible start.
Mm-hmm.
But it hasn't felt like last year. It's actually felt like it's been a good start. It's weird, the perception, but obviously that win then made it better anyway. There was the midweek loss in Dallas. That left them with quite a big, for me, couldn't afford to lose matchup with Cascadian rival Seattle at BC Place on Saturday. I'd have taken a draw. Obviously, you wanted to win, but I would have taken a draw just with Seattle starting the season well and a little bit of a slump of late. But the Whitecaps, they rose to that challenge that was ahead of them. And with the team approaching a year now since their last league win away from home, which was down in Dallas last June, this road form is making these home matches all the more important, all the more crucial. They've already dropped 3 points to RSL at home, 2 points to Dallas, 2 points to Colorado. So 7 points given up, and badly, all against Western rivals as well, which isn't conducive to making the playoffs if you're not finding a way to win on the road. So I know it's early to say they kind of have to win out at home, but if they can't start picking these points up away from home, Zach, they kind of have to make every single point count at home.
Yeah. If you're not getting enough draws and the odd win on the road, then you do have to kind of be almost impeccable at home, which they haven't exactly been so far this year. But thinking about the game on Wednesday in Dallas, it was totally a case, like we've talked about this a lot. There's been a lot of gifts handed out this year in MLS, and it was absolutely, it was like Christmas down in Dallas, because you had
for both teams.
Well, you had gift, Jesus, gift, Jesus. It was just like, it was incredible, because that opening goal was a gift for Vite. Then Jesus scored. Then the Whitecaps gave Jesus a gift, and he scored again.
Yeah. I mean, we won't dwell too much on the Dallas match, but I do want to touch on it, because they did deserve to lose that. And, I thought, Vanny didn't. He thought they deserved to win that. I thought Dallas were the better team. But, I mean, a draw maybe you could have argued was a fair result. But, yeah, those defensive plays cost them dear. They went ahead from probably the worst defensive mistake in the match. Vite easily fires home. Martin pays. A moment of madness.
Yeah.
It's like he just doesn't look up, or if he looks up, he just doesn't see Vite behind his own player or whatever. Giving that ball away in the 23rd minute. That was horrible for the keeper.
I've seen worse than this last week.
Yeah, we've seen worse in St. Louis games.
Yeah. There was a crazy one in the Bundesliga this weekend. Where the player hadn't realized that the play was kind of moving upfield, and he hadn't realized that one of the strikers had gone into the net after he missed his chance. Oof. And so this midfielder, Amiri from Leverkusen, had his head down and was kind of cutting back into the middle, and thought he was under pressure. He's like, I'm just going to pass back to my keeper, and pass it right to Marcus Thuram, who was standing in front of his keeper, and he just laid it off for Lars Stindl to score an equalizer. And that was the second gift in the game. Anyways, but no, the one thing I found, the thing I found maybe even not stranger, but also strange about the goal, other than the giveaway, was Vite celebrating it like it was like the greatest goal ever. Do you see he went and slid into the corner like it was like,
hey, every goal should be celebrated to the max.
Every goal should be celebrated, but I think the celebration usually should be in line with the goal in some way. It just felt like an awkward celebration for that kind of gift. I know it was
his first one of the season, I think.
Was it? I thought he scored
it wasn't actually. Maybe
no, I don't think it was.
Earlier.
Yeah, he scored this year, I'm pretty sure.
He's a guy, and we'll talk about him a little bit when we get to salaries as well, that I think more is expected of him than he's been producing. So possibly getting that goal makes him feel, that's taking a little bit of the pressure off me. Obviously then backing it up this weekend as well. But Yeah, I mean, it was a gift, and I mean, he took it well. You still have to put the ball in the back of the net after getting that chance, but then it was pretty much as good as it got for the Whitecaps.
Yeah.
O'Brien danced his way past defenders to set up the chance for Dallas's equaliser, and it was a heavy first touch from Ferreira, but I thought he had overrun it, but he recovered well, put it past Takaoka. The slip up by Brown, though, to help set that up was also poor, and it allowed Ferreira to have so much time to just kind of deal with everything. And then the winner for Dallas in the 54th, horrible stuff by Ranko. Jesus pounced with the second. It was well broken up by Dallas and then played into Ferreira. But I don't know, Ranko just can't take that much time on the ball.
No. It was really, really poor. It's so poor that he left town.
Yes. Yeah, I'll come to that.
We'll come to that, okay.
Because that, yeah, I don't think that's a good look. I'm maybe just being really harsh on the guy, yeah. But yeah, well, I mean, we'll come to that. But I mean, after that, I was a bit despondent of have we thrown away all this good work that we've done? Because you looked at Seattle coming to town. They had a lot of injuries. They've had a couple of bad results of late, but these games, you don't know what's happening. But then we saw Freddie Montero was starting up front, and I was like, that's fine. I'm a little bit...
Yeah, their injuries, I think, really hurt them in this game. Not having Raul Ruiz and...
I mean, who wouldn't want him?
Who wouldn't want him, of course, yeah. He would have changed that game, you would have thought.
Well, he would have made them look better, because I thought Seattle were awful.
The good
that's one of the worst I've seen Seattle.
For sure. The good Roldan was also not playing.
Yeah.
And for some reason they didn't start what's his name? Joao Paulo, is it?
Yeah.
Yeah. I was shocked that he wasn't starting.
And Jordan Morris, after his fantastic start to the season as well, was just kind of hit a bit of a wall. He was like firing it in. They're all, golden boot potential, blah, blah, blah.
He looked fairly useless in this match.
Yeah. Well, I would argue most of Seattle looked fairly useless. I mean, this Seattle game, it's the only home game in a spell of 6 games across all competitions away from home. So they needed to get something from this. And you wanted to see a bounce back from that Dallas game and the weekend before with the loss as well. So it was going to be interesting to see how they approached it. I thought it was a fairly even first half and an exciting first half as well. I know the radio guys were saying that they felt that Vancouver should be up and they were dominating the game, but I mean, I thought it was an even half. Vancouver probably just shaded it, and they did go in with the lead.
Yeah,
44th minute.
Yeah, with this goal, I think you talk about Vite with a great first touch away to Dallas. His first touch on this goal was horrendous.
It was a little bit like Ferreira's for his goal when I felt he'd kind of overrun it.
Yeah.
First one.
It was
and
a bad
like
touch.
You felt that Vite had done that as well.
Yeah. And then allowed the Seattle defender to get in between, who then should have cleared the ball.
Yeah.
He felt Vite's arm on his back and went down, and then Vite just poked it home. And you and I were messaging about this at the time.
Yeah.
I think in other leagues there would have been a little bit of a slower roll to restart the game, but I think in some leagues
it would have been very harsh.
I could have seen that called back, but I agree with you. It would have been really harsh because I really feel the defender just like felt the arm touch his back. I was like, okay, I'm going to go down to save myself, or to try and
which is a ridiculous thing to do because you never know if you're going to get that decision.
Exactly.
But then I don't know. Should Fry have come off quicker to get it? Was he hesitant because the defender was there?
Well, I think Fry's expecting his defender. I forget which defender it was.
I can't remember who it was either off the top of my head.
But he was. I think Fry's like, oh, he's this ball's in played, and it was a good ball. It was a good ball from Vancouver in, but he's like, oh, this bad first touch from Vite. My defender has it. I can stay put, no problem. And then I find it hard to blame Fry on that one.
We
can blame him on the second one.
Oh yeah, but there's certainly blame to go around for my donut eating friend in this one. I think maybe too much donuts is possibly what it was. But what I would say about that goal is the tenacious play from Vitae. Like, he didn't give up on it at all. Oh, it was Alex Roldan. It was the bad Roldan that was the defender.
Bad Roldan,
yes. I knew I'd put it in the match report. I couldn't remember who it was off the top of my head. Yeah.
He plays, so his brother plays for the US. He plays for, is it El Salvador?
Yes, or Guatemala, but I think it is El Salvador. Yeah, because they were in the Octo, so yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, he should have done better there. But I mean, Vitae didn't give up on it. And it was a lovely little poke, and it was superbly captured by our photographer Caroline as well. The perfect moment of the poke to put it past him as well, which we had as our lead photo for the match report. But I mean, he did well to keep on that.
Now that I think about it, I think I realized why he celebrated like he did in Dallas. Because in Dallas, he was playing on real grass. That's why he did the 2-knee slide in Dallas. Because he's like, I can't
you don't want to do that on the BC Place.
Can't do this BC Place. I'm going to take advantage of this grass. Because I thought a bigger celebration would have been better for this goal. But yeah.
Yeah. But I mean, it put the Whitecaps 1-0 up. And if the teams had gone in level, I wouldn't really have complained. I think Vancouver did edge the first half. So yeah, they went in with the lead. They were the far better team in the second half. Seattle, maybe the first 5 minutes had a little bit of forays forward and like taking it to the game, but then after that, just
they had like one or two
it down.
They had one or two chances there at the beginning of the half, right? That where you thought, oh, maybe they're going to get back into it.
Yeah, but I think Takoka had one save, a header over or something.
Yeah, they it really felt like both Ladero and Rusnak were like not in optimal form. I mean, I know
Rusnak's disappointing. Like, he was so good with RSL, and I was like, oh, if we could get him here, that would be fantastic. And then he went to Seattle, and you're like, oh, that's just going to make them so good. Yeah. And again, he started the season in fairly good form, but like a few of these guys seems to have just hit a little bit of a dip, which is better to do it now, having got some early points on the board, than sort of in the run-in when you're really kind of battling for stuff, I guess. I still hope that this is Ryan Gould's worst spell of form that we've had over the season. He's going to finally go through. He thought he had his first goal of the season. Cruelly taken away from him. And I checked on Sunday as well with the Caps when I was at WFC2 just to see if there'd been any other changes. But no, it's definitely down as a Stephen Fry own goal. There was a lot of confusion because it was given as a Fry own goal. And I thought, yeah, that's how they do it in MLS.
Well, it was announced in the stadium as Ryan's.
Yes.
Then it was given as an own goal.
Yep.
Then on the broadcast, they said, no, they've given it to Ryan.
Yep.
But properly, are you saying they properly accredited it to Fry?
It's properly down as Fry, and it's not changing. That was the Whitecaps message on Sunday.
You can't call that I know MLS has done this in the past where they're like, oh, it's better look to give a guy a goal than to give someone an own goal. And so there's been other times where they've totally, whether it's the league, the statisticians for them, whoever it is making this decision, and said, no, let's give the goal to the player, the attacking player, when it has been an own goal. And with this one, I was just like, how can you possibly, like, the shot is taken. I think he even gets a piece of it, but it goes off the post and then hits Fry in the back and goes in.
Anything that usually comes off the woodwork and then off the keeper, it goes down as a keeper own goal, and that's in the leagues all over the place.
It's like how the game works.
Yeah, but what I would say though, it needs to be really spelled out if it isn't already, which I think it probably is. But just because with more and more betting coming into the game over here, if someone had Whitecaps to win with Gold to score, and then that bet's out the window because they've given it as an own goal. So it is something that could cause issues.
Yeah.
Because no one's obviously going to have Fry to score.
Yeah. Actually maybe going now, or maybe already, or maybe going forward, will be more odds for own goals. Right? But like,
it's the second leading scorer for the Whitecaps right now.
Yeah, by my understanding, by the laws of the game, it's a clear own goal. Like there's no
Yeah.
debate. There's no like argument. I heard some people saying, "Oh no, it's obviously his goal." I'm just like, then you don't understand the laws of the game because
But
this
when
is
I first saw it, though, I thought it had just gone under his body and he'd fumbled
yes,
it. I
yeah, and
didn't
that
know it had hit off the.
same. It
Yeah.
wasn't until I saw the replay where I realized, oh, it hit the post and hit him in the back and went in.
Which is
Yeah,
probably why it was originally given to Ryan, and then it's
yeah.
like, oh no,
But
no,
in the
wait a
stadium,
minute.
it's fine, whatever.
Yeah.
But then change it and then to change it back in the course of the game was kind of
Well,
weird.
then it was going back and forward, like we were getting some messages going, oh, apparently it has been given, and then the Whitecaps like, no, it's not, and it's like, well, the broadcasters are saying it is. I did hear afterwards though that when Ryan found out he hadn't got the goal, he was absolutely gutted because he thought he'd got off the mark for the season.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that is tough on him because you saw the joy in his face and the celebration, the kind of relief as well for him.
But I mean, yes, obviously it would be better if it was a credit to him, but it's still like he's the one who made that goal. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah,
so hopefully he can be buoyed by that, you know?
hopefully. I mean, nice shot. The Whitecaps had a couple of chances before that as well. Like the minute before it, they had a couple of chances, and then Gold with a shot, it goes in, it's 1-0. And that was basically the game. They saw it out fairly comfortably. Seattle, you expect them just to like really launch attacks at them and go for it. It was not there from them.
I think you already said this, but like, have you ever seen a worse Seattle performance at BC Place?
No.
I don't think so.
It's like you think of some of the past games, and then you think of some of the games down there that we've been at over the years or watched on TV over the years, and it's like they've just destroyed us.
Yeah.
But yeah, and there was a really good
great
section of crowd up as well from Seattle for this as well.
There's I think 500 away supporters. That's the one thing about the game too. You know, I know it's not quite where it used to be, but it was even just watching on Apple TV Plus. It was good to see like a better crowd, even from like the get go. You're like, okay, there's more people here. So an announced crowd of 19,000, and again, you know, I've been someone who's been very critical. So at the same time, I think you need to give credit where credit's due. You know, reading some of the press releases and stuff this week, you can see that they're working very hard.
Oh,
like that, the one press release, I don't know if you read it, where it's like, here's the 18 ways we're trying to get people involved and get people to the game this week.
And they had all the youth clubs that were there as well.
Yeah.
And for a holiday weekend in gorgeous weather, I was a little worried because of what we've seen at the previous games. And coming off back-to-back defeats as well in the league, you're like, oh.
Yeah.
No, but did anyone see those as
but
well?
Even a couple of things. Even with the youth teams, I've never seen, and maybe I've just missed it, but I've never seen messaging from them about engaging so many clubs at once kind of thing. They've done things where it's like, hey, there's a tournament in town, all the teams with the tournament are here or whatever. And I will say, I think this is in part, and you and I've talked about this before, this is in part, again, because they have to be more intentional in how they're engaging with the clubs, because they're not the only only football club in town. And so they know that Vancouver FC is, actively, engaging with a bunch of the big clubs in the area and all over the Lower Mainland, big and small clubs. And so again, they're working really hard. Credit to all those who are involved with that, whether it's the marketing or the affiliations or whatever the department is, or the people who I think they did a really respectable job in getting the stadium to the second highest attendance since opening day. And for them, I know Axel a little bit from things, and I know his approach will be, good job, everyone. We need to keep going. We need to be even better. And so
it's how do you get those people back? And a good way to get them back is a winning team on the pitch. It's like, oh, I enjoyed that. That was a great occasion. We saw a couple of goals. The team won. That's what draws people back. And it's interesting because you were messaging going, oh, it looks a good crowd. And I said to you, I think it's probably about 19, and it was at 19-1 or something in the end. So that was your perception. And what did you think of the atmosphere? Before I say anything else, did you think it was? How did that come across on the TV?
Atmosphere on TV. You were in the stadium. You got to tell me what you think. But I'll just say, for TV, you cannot fully judge atmosphere on TV, especially at MLS matches. And I think BC Place is not alone, the lone stadium in that, because when you're watching a broadcast, and this is not just MLS, this is games around the world, the broadcast plays a role in how they are miking and what levels they're
Yep.
giving to the supporters
And how the
not,
commentators are, because when it's
Ex-
remote commentators, you often don't get the crowd levels either.
exactly. So it didn't sound like the atmosphere didn't sound amazing on the broadcast, but it was the way they mixed in the visuals of what, the supporters of both sets of supporters, and just the game, the stadium in general. I think it was encouraging, and it was positive. But you tell me, what was it actually like in the stadium? How good was it in the stadium? Could you hear both?
I thought it was excellent atmosphere. You could,
Good.
because in the press box we're right in the middle, so
Yeah.
my seat's pretty much at the halfway line for this season. So in the previous years, I always had wanted to sit down at the bottom near the south side, as near Carver, just to hear all that. But then they've moved things about. I've been more in the middle for the last couple of years, and I actually
Right,
quite
yeah.
like it.
Right in
So
the
you
middle.
could hear in both ears, you could hear both sets of fans really loud,
Nice.
non-stop, pretty much for the whole game, and I thought it was a
Nice.
tremendous atmosphere.
And credit to I know the Unified GA section now has like a capo stand at the front that Peter,
Yeah,
I think Tobin and Shane are using, and so
and there was some like both groups had megaphones as well. No one threw them on the pitch after
No,
the game. That's
wow.
always a plus as well. But the reason I was asking that is a media member that wasn't there, and I won't say who it was.
Oh, I can guess.
Yeah, probably. In our media chat was saying, "Oh, this is a terrible crowd," and I was like, "No, it's not. I mean, this is a really good crowd. It's probably about 19." And he's like, "No, no." And then he's like, "Oh,
So it wasn't hard.
no." Um, then he's like, "Oh, this is a terrible atmosphere." I was like, "What?" I went, "Is your TV broken or something?" Because it's like
Right, yeah.
there's a good crowd here, and there's like a good
Yeah.
atmosphere.
So yeah, to the, like I said, to be fair to them on TV, the atmosphere, especially the vocal atmosphere, doesn't come through, or in this match, I found didn't come through.
That's fair.
And that's not on the supporters. That's more on how the broadcast chooses to do levels, or their limitations in how they can bring the levels through, or whatever. It's not on the supporters. Yeah, I heard lots of positive comments from this from within the stadium and stuff as well, that things were really good and meaningful. And of course, when you win what is arguably your most important your most important match of the year, at home, against Seattle, you're going to send people home happy, and they're going
Yeah.
to be positive.
Well, it's
So,
two Cascadia wins now at BC
totally.
Place as well, which is fantastic. You'll love this. During the game, Hara was watching the two sets of fans, and the ECS and all the Seattle fans, they had lots of flags with them, and she's like, "Why is there no flags in the south side?" I went, "Oh, don't start me on that, Hara."
There are flags there. Is she blind?
There wasn't a lot waving for this game,
yeah.
to be fair.
Well,
But
see, ECS has more the approach of flags during play, which is, I know, your favorite thing.
yeah, and I mean, to be fair, covering that Seattle performance with a flag would have been a godsend, I think, for the travelling support. But one thing, they did this video thing at half time on Vancouver Albion.
Oh yeah.
And I don't know if it's up maybe on the website or wherever as well, because I know they put a lot of these on the social media. But I've spoken before. I think Vancouver Albion have been a breath of fresh air to the support. Also, I should thank them as well. They gave me I keep meaning to put the photo out. I took it. They gave me a scarf at the TSS game. So thank you for that. That was appreciated. But they did this video piece. So many of them are moving on at the end of this school year, because they're either going to colleges at the other side of the country, or they're going travelling around the world. So it's going to be interesting to see these key leaders of this group moving on. Are the other ones going to still keep that level going, and how much of an impact will that have? Because they've been fantastic.
Yeah, well, yeah, because it's supposed to be like a youth supporter thing, a supporter group for youth,
For
by
youth, yeah.
but it's weird because I think their older people are no longer youth, right? They're
Yeah, so
in
they're the
their early
ones that's
20s or
moving on
whatever.
now. So
And then as they move on, then are they going to be replaced? I mean, this is it. That's a microcosm of one of the bigger issues for any supporter group, right? As people get older or move away, do you have more people coming and taking their places, right?
There was a funny bit at the end of the video because they were all saying, "Oh, I'm going to Halifax to study this, or I'm going to travel the world, or I'm going to Europe," and there's all these folks that were leaving, and then there's one guy at the end, and he's like, "I'll still be here. I'm not going anywhere." It was really well done. It was a fantastic piece.
Yeah.
I hope it is up on social media that folk can find it if they didn't see it at half time.
Yeah, they're a nice bunch of guys. Tobin was over at the did you meet him? Was it at the? Oh no, you weren't there. Yeah, he was over at the first game in Victoria, the Vancouver FC first game in Victoria.
Oh yeah, no, I wasn't
Came
over
by
at
and
that.
chatted and whatever.
Yeah, they were out at the TSS Valor game, a lot of the guys, and we'd got their photographer like a pass for the game and stuff as well. So
I
yeah,
don't know. I don't know much about everything of their internal workings, but I do know they have a good drum.
yeah, they do. It was very loud on Saturday, I thought as well. But back to the Whitecaps, that win lifted them to seventh in the Western Conference standings by
Huge.
the end of the weekend. Great. I mean, it's not even in the wild card game now. We're in a proper playoff
Because
place.
at some point in the weekend, were they as far down as 11th?
Ah,
Like in the middle of the weekend or something, or middle of
oh,
the before.
like from games in play. Oh,
I
I
think
don't
so.
know.
I think so. I
Although
swear I saw
looking at
somewhere.
it, yeah, actually, if I take their 3 points off and they hadn't got those 3 points, yeah, they would have been 12th.
Yeah, so at some point in the weekend they were 11th, I think, for
Oh
sure.
wow! I mean, we won't delve into the other games, but just to go over the results, DC spanked LA Galaxy 3-0, and I'll talk a little bit about the Galaxy when we talk about salaries in part 3. And Canadian content, Montreal got beat by New York Red Bulls. Back
Yeah.
in the West, it was Austin 1, Toronto 0. We will talk just a little bit about that one,
Oh my.
or more the comments afterwards from Bernardeschi that you
Yeah.
can only take to mean Bob Bradley has to go.
Yeah. Well, when he says we need to change tactics, something has to change. We need to change tactics.
Let me get the exact quote up here, because I hadn't seen it, because I hadn't been on Twitter, because I'd been so busy with other stuff. And when you sent it, I was like, oh, wow. It's like, we don't have ideas on how to play. This city, the fans, nobody deserves this. I think maybe we need to change something. We need a little bit more tactics. We need an idea on how to play. It's impossible to play like this. It's a big, big problem for me. So it's like, I think maybe he's trying to water it down and then just fully goes off on, yeah, the tactics are shit. I can't play like this.
We
We
can't
have
play
no
like
idea on what we're doing out there.
To be fair, not be fair, but one element to this, they've had some bad injuries, right? Like a couple of their games, I've been like, who are these guys in their back line?
Well, I keep getting, because I'm on their mailing list, I keep getting things off. Oh, we've called up all these players for this game, and it's like, oh,
yeah. It's been hard hit by injuries.
maybe they should have kept Kieran Chung.
Yeah, they should have.
Yeah,
I mean, I'm glad they didn't, but they should have.
yeah. He probably
Or and
would have
even
hurt
Luke,
his
even Lucas
clavicle.
Manhattan, I think.
Oh,
would
of course,
way more games than they. What did they trade him for?
A bag of
Gam?
balls.
Yeah.
No, I think they get something back.
Oh,
from
was that
him?
in the Sapong deal?
Possibly. I'm sure they got a player back.
Anyways, it seemed weird.
You're asking me about things from last month. It's like barely remember last week with a lot of these things.
It seemed a weird move to me at the time.
Yeah, but I mean, for when one of your top guys like Bernardeschi's coming out and saying that can only turn the pressure up.
Well, yeah, he's as we'll talk about later, he's one of the top 10 earners in the league. So that's never good.
He's one of the top 4 earners in the league,
There you go.
which is never good. But yeah, it's a mess. Well, I mean, it's a mess at LA Galaxy. It's a mess at Toronto. The other results from the Western teams, I mean, that 1-0 win for Austin, they were badly needing that.
Yeah.
Dallas won, Houston won in the Texas Derby. RSL came away with a 3-2 win against Colorado in the Rocky Mountain. I watched St. Louis, Kansas City, because it was on the TSN game, so I'd PVR'd that. Oh boy, that looks a tough one for the Whitecaps to go to City Park next week.
Yeah.
They destroyed Kansas City. Although defensively, they destroyed themselves.
Yeah.
And they are badly missing Tim Melia. Like, McIntosh, for me, is not this level of keeper, especially when you've not got a great defence in front of you.
They chewed up McIntosh and spit him out. Yeah. Yeah, it's going to be very difficult for Vancouver to go there, especially after a midweek game on the island.
Yeah, it's a long journey because they're coming back here to train on the Tuesday and I think the Friday as well, and then they're flying to St. Louis, because I thought they might have just gone straight from the island to St. Louis, but no. I don't think you can charter a ferry from there. It would be a long trip. I believe my malls told me they did look to see if they could charter a ferry to the island.
Oh.
For this game, which would have been an interesting one.
Yeah.
It was LAFC 2, San Jose 1 in the California... Well, it's not the California Classico, I guess, because that's the LA Galaxy. Do they have a name for this one? Are they just trying to make a rivalry out of this one because they're from California? I don't know. But, I mean, this is a battle between two teams that's been in good form.
Mm-hmm.
And they needed a 95th minute penalty from Vela to seal the points here. It was a good game.
Yeah, but they keep on going. They keep on chugging, eh?
Oh, yeah. I mean, they keep winning. And again, when we get to the salaries, you look to see where they are salary-wise. And you can't just say, oh, it's because they've bought all these players, because that isn't necessarily the case. Yeah. Minnesota beat Portland 1-0, which I think was the shock result for me in the West this weekend after what Portland did to us last Saturday.
Yeah, and Vancouver's game against Minnesota, yeah.
Well, yeah, that as well. And again, a 95th minute winner for Minnesota in this one. Longwani, is that how you pronounce his name? I don't know.
We'll go with that.
Yeah, we'll go with that. I'm under the names. So
I got the song in my head going in my head that you can't play because of the Minnesota
it's cold, like they were cold like Minnesota at that penalty.
Like, ice cold at the end.
Little Yachty's coming to play here.
Oh, nice.
I wonder if we got him to record the song for us as a bumper. Could we play it, or would that still get...
Are you going? You should go get this is Little Yachty. You listen to AFTN and then get him just to sing it.
Oh, that'd be superb. I'll see if I can wangle away to that. I haven't been to a rap concert for a while. I'm trying to think. I've seen the Wu-Tang Clan, but that was at a festival. Beastie Boys a number of times. Haven't seen Weird or Mad Hat McGore. I got into them after I left. Need them to play.
What about your friend who's in that gang?
Goldie Luke and Chain?
No. They're
coming up later in the show with their new single. You'll love it. It's about Adidas. And it mentions Jesus. It's like your perfect song.
Is it about, you mean it's about Adidas?
Adidas. Anyway, the Western Conference standings. LAFC out in front, 25 points. And they've got 2 games in hand on Seattle, who are second now on 23. St. Louis, the Whitecaps opponents next week on 22. Dallas on 22. San Jose 18. Minnesota 18. Vancouver on 17, Portland and Austin on 16, below the line, Houston 15, Salt Lake 15, Colorado 12, and Kansas City and LA, who look like they may have been turning things around. Second bottom, Kansas on 10, bottom now, the LA Galaxy on 9. And Vanny still has a job, and Bob Bradley still has a job.
But
is this the week?
But has anything happened with the LA executives, though? Because I know that's part with the boycott.
Yeah, no. But in the US Open Cup on Tuesday, it's LAFC, LA Galaxy.
Oh,
that could be the final straw for Vanny if LA, and it's at LAFC.
But as much as Vanny's having a horrible year, and I someone who have a little bit of time for him. I don't love the guy or anything, but I have a little bit of time for him. I still think it's the guys above him that need to go. That Chris Klein needs to go.
Yeah.
There's
a lot of questions to ask about how they've built that squad, much like in Toronto as well. And again, we'll look at the salaries in part 3. And it is the higher ups that you feel it just needs a clear out. But you've still been given some good talent, and you're not getting the results out of the talent that you've got. Because you look at that team.
That's totally a fair criticism. Yeah, if he went with them, I think that would be fair as well. But I think at that organization, the people who need to go first it's Chris Klein. I forget the other person's name, but Chris Klein for sure.
I think the fans are certainly in agreement with that.
Yeah.
But we'll have that chat another day. But I mean, this could be an interesting week to watch for any managerial changes in MLS. But that was a good win for the Whitecaps, a much needed win for the Whitecaps. There's a couple of other talking points I want to unpack from the game just around players, and we'll be back with that after this.
Hi, I'm Ryan Gold, and you're listening to the AFTN Soccer Show.
Welcome back to the AFTN Soccer Show on CITR Radio 101.9 FM. And kicking off this part from 2001, it's our Artist of the Month here at AFTN for the month of May, Irish band Ash. That is the second single taken from the band's third album, Free All Angels. That was Burn, Baby Burn. It reached number 13 in the UK charts, won a couple of Single of the Year awards when it was released, and you might recognise the guitar riffs from being used in lots of football highlights and shows over the years. It's a very well-known song by theirs and one of their best ones. So we're going to continue talking Whitecaps in this part, and I want to just have a little bit of chat about some of the players just coming out of that win over Seattle to kick this part off. And then we'll turn our attention to WFC2 and the girls Rex Elite as well to round this part off. So for that Seattle game, Zach, Vanny went with a 3-4-2-1 with Laborda playing as a centre-back.
Was it? I think I heard on the broadcast. I think I heard on the pregame show on the radio, which was great.
Yes, Eric Hasley interview. Which made me think, why have we not had him on the show?
Yeah.
Where's my card? I thought as well.
I messaged him right after. I was like, dude, I just heard that it was so good. And he was like, oh, thanks, man. I'm sure we could have him on. I'm sure he'd be happy to be on.
Oh, yeah.
So anyways, they said I think it was the radio show. This is the first time they've actually done the back three this year? Is that right?
It is.
Okay. So I thought that was, I thought it was bold. Like I
thought it was very bold.
When I heard that, I was just like, "Oh, this is the formation." I heard, "Oh, I was like, this is not great." And then I heard Laborda was in the middle of the back three with Blackman. Okay, fine, and then Brown. Okay. I was just like, "Oh, this could be bad."
Then I saw the Seattle lineup, and I was like, "Oh, okay."
Yeah, exactly, exactly. It was not a weakened Seattle lineup for sure, but and then, Martins was left back, and then who was that right back again? Ali. Ali was playing right back,
yes.
right wing back, which I also thought, an inverted winger on the one side. I thought, it's kind of interesting, and then I was a little surprised that Cordoba was left out. But
yeah, a lot to unpack just from what you've said there.
He's not in great form, obviously.
No, like Laborda, first of all, I thought did really well.
Yes.
And again, we'll talk a little bit more about him in the next part with salaries, but
It's only the second time he's played center back since the San Jose away game, right?
yeah, and I don't know. Like last year, I felt the three at the back wasn't good because I felt we didn't have the players to do it. This year, we've gone to the back four, which is what I was wanting for most of last year. But after this performance, and it's a short sample size, and it wasn't against a fully potent Seattle team, but now I'm thinking, is this the way to go with this back three and having Laborda there? Because like I've loved Blackman this year. I think he's been excellent. He's been one of the standout guys on the whole. There's been a couple of games where he's had a few mistakes.
Well, and I think this match was almost, if not near the pinnacle for him.
Yeah. And well, what do you mean by that?
Like his best performance,
Yeah,
of the year.
Yeah. I thought he was good. I thought that him and Laborda together were good. Brown was good as well. I liked.
Brown was maybe even a bigger surprise to me, his performance than Laborda, because he's had some off performances. He's been caught out a little bit. And I think he looked really mostly comfortable at that right side center back in the back three.
Because he's been playing centre back, and I've seen folks saying, why are they playing him at centre back? He is a centre back.
Yeah, he is.
That was his prime position coming here, and then he's been playing more as a right back. Now, a lot of this was forced because Ranko Veselinovic was away at his brother's wedding over in Serbia. And I know this is going to make me sound a horrible, harsh person. I just don't think that's a good look.
Yeah, so I didn't know it was a wedding till you told me, because on the I think it was the pregame show, they're like, he's away on a pre-approved or pre-scheduled time to be away. It's been pre-approved or whatever. And I was just like, okay, yeah, same thing right away. I was just like, that's not like you that can't happen.
No,
I'm
glad I'm not alone in thinking that. Now, what I will say, from a Whitecaps point of view, in managing a player, keeping a player happy, and doing something nice for the player, I think that's great that the Whitecaps let him do that. In that regard, this was a huge game.
Totally. It worked out totally. It worked out on the day.
Yeah.
My bigger concern is that you set an extremely dangerous precedent, right? Like how many of the other players have brothers? How many other players have brothers who aren't married yet? You know, there's a lot of big life occasions that happen. And I think barring the loss of life, I think you don't allow your players to leave for anything but that, or maybe I guess the other one would be a birth of a child, but even that, well, no, I shouldn't say that's a good reason to miss a game. But
I don't know. I miss my grandmother's wake to go and watch East Fife play up at Brecon. I
mean, I miss Shea Salinas scoring to be with my daughter's birth, but whatever.
Priorities. But no, I mean, I just felt it wasn't a good look. That said, I have felt that Ranko's needed a little bit of a rest, because
traveling to Europe is super restful.
No,
I'm assuming
he had a fun time at his the wedding as well.
Yeah.
But I mean, Blackman and Ranko, we did say a couple of shows ago, might even have been the last show, that I'm worried they're going to burn themselves out, and they do need maybe a little bit of a rest. But yeah, I mean, going back to Brown, and I had seen folks saying, what does Karifa Yao have to do to get a start when they're playing Brown at centre-back? It's like, yeah, apart from Brown being a centre-back, throwing Karifa Yao into a game like that is a huge risk.
Was it this game, or was it against Dallas that he came on? He came on.
Yeah, he did. And I think it was this game. It was. Yeah, he came on as
the end of the game.
Yeah. So
he's been a little off the pace, right, for getting up to speed with MLS. That's been a big issue.
I mean, if you were going to throw him into a game, it would maybe be like the Dallas game or something like this, or a game. I mean, they could go to St. Louis and get something, but I think they could be in for a torrid time. Maybe that isn't the best thing to give a centre-back an out, and mind you. I mean, you mentioned Luis Martins. Vanni said afterwards he was playing like Paolo Maldini out there.
Yeah,
a little exaggeration, but I did think he had a really good game.
He had a fine game. I think that was That was an example of Vanny being overly generous with his compliments.
Ali Ahmed.
Because Paulo Maldini is arguably the greatest left back that like there's ever been, right?
Yeah. Oh, unless he means playing like he is now in some Masters football or something.
Well, I don't know. I would still, if I was an MLS team, I still might take Paulo Maldini over some of the options in the MLS.
Ali Ahmed on the other wing back, I thought he was excellent again. And I mean, we know he can play on both sides. We know he can play wing back. We know he can play wing. We know he can play full back. Such a bright future ahead. And on the preliminary roster for Canada for this CONCACAF Nations League stuff.
Yeah, great for him.
Yeah, delighted for Ali. The last player I want to talk about, and you touched on it, Sergio Cordova.
All right, yeah.
Not another good outing. You can tell he's trying a little bit, maybe too hard, or he's feeling it.
He left that leg in on your buddy there.
Yeah. Now, I thought that should have been a booking for him. I also think Fry
wasn't
throwing
it a
the ball.
booking?
I don't think he did get booked for that.
I thought he did. In some places that could have been a sending off.
Well, I thought he could have been booked earlier for a tackle that he had, which would have then been a second yellow. So, I mean...
He did get booked. Yeah, he did get booked.
Oh, he did get booked for that?
Yeah,
did Fry get booked as well?
No.
Because Fry threw the ball at him, but should have been a booking.
That was just...
I saw the card coming out and I thought it was for Fry.
No, it was for Cordoba.
Oh.
Yeah, no, to me, he was lucky not to get sent off for that. Like, again, I think in other parts of the world, they might look at that a few more times.
I mean, it just grazed the top of his leg.
Yeah, but it's a fact that you could, if I remember correct, you could see he was like, hey, I'm being pushed by the defender.
Oh, so there was that as well. I'm
going to make sure I throw out my leg. So, because he knew, I could say, oh, look, the guy pushed me, right? But you're in control of your leg. Like, even if a guy pushes you, that he didn't have to go down that way, I would say.
Yeah. I mean,
I would say, in my opinion, he went out of his way to make sure he made contact with the keeper.
Yeah. I love my players with a bit of bite to them, so I don't mind that he's got that little bit of aggression. Still having a little bit of PTSD from the Cavallini aggression from the last couple of seasons. But, yeah, we still have not seen what we need to see from him. And it's hard because he isn't up fully to the game levels. I fully appreciate that. But from the glimpses that we've seen, it's just not clicking yet. And I don't know what it's going to take to click. And they've got this game now coming up against Pacific midweek. Does he get the start in that? Does White get the start in that? Do you have to imagine Betcher's going to get the start in that? Because for me, he's the best of the three of them just now and should be starting this game. Yeah, I mean, I hope Cordova comes good. I'm just a little bit worried now. And you've got guys like Betcher waiting to take that starting spot from him, and guys, of course, in WFC2 as well. And it was a double Cascadian Derby success for the Whitecaps this weekend, because in MLS Next Pro, WFC2 came away with a 1-0 win over Tacoma Defiance at Swangard on Sunday evening. Fantastic performance by the team, some great football played, really should be more than a one-goal victory in the end. It was a victory that moves them up to third in the Western Conference standing as well, and top of the division, which is excellent at this stage of the season. The team really flying just now. And the game interrupted by some Canadian geese as well, which had to get ushered off the pitch. Isaac Bomer, the goose wrangler in this situation as well. WFC2 busy right now, because they've got 2 games coming up this week. They travel to take on San Jose Earthquakes 2 down in San Jose on Thursday night. Then I think it's Sunday, the next game, which is LA Galaxy 2 down in California as well. And of course, there's been some real standout performers for the 2 so far this season. One of them, Levonte Johnson, the Brampton-born striker, draft pick, coming off that championship win in the NCAA as well. Just a fantastic season for him coming into Major League Soccer. And then Levonte got that call-up for the Canadian Championship in the first round or the quarter-final game against York. Made an impact, scored as well. Will he feature in the game against Pacific on Wednesday night? Well, it's a tough one, because if he is called up, that would be his second of the 4 call-ups he's allowed, but he's only allowed to play in 2 of the games. So he's played against York. If he played against Pacific as well, that would stop him getting a shot in MLS. For that reason, I have a feeling that they may not use him in this game and sort of keep that second call-up for him having a chance to play in Major League Soccer. But I got a chance to catch up with Levonte after that game against Tacoma Defiance on Sunday, just to talk about his season so far, how he's adjusted to the pro game from the college ranks, and a few other things as well. Here's Levonte Johnson. It's been a fantastic couple of weeks for you, Levonte. You've had that call up to the MLS team. You're lighting it up in MLS Next Pro as well. How has it been this first few months from going from the college ranks into the Whitecaps?
It's been a long session, period, because my college season we went all the way to the final game. So we finished December 12th, and then preseason started January 9th, 8th, and I was late to that because I had the Mac Herman ceremony, and before that we had the MLS Symposium, so I was just flying all over the place. Then as soon as I got to Vancouver, we flew to Spain, so it was a hectic first couple of months, but we've progressed, settled in, and I'm enjoying it here. Vancouver's a wonderful city, wonderful team. Organization's been wonderful to me, staff, players, it's treated me very well. It's almost like home.
Some players, when they make the initial transition from college, they find the pace at MLS to be a lot faster, and just training and everything's more faster. How have you found the transition so far? Because you look like you've taken it like a duck to water.
When I first came in, moving from college, I guess we were at a pretty good college. I mean, we won nationals, so our team was really good. So our trainings were pretty intense, but you can't really quite compare to the MLS standard. So I guess the first couple of days, it was okay. This is a lot quicker than I'm used to, but after a couple of weeks, I feel like I settled in and I got used to it.
So you got the MLS Next Pro contract, and we saw last year with Simon and Ali that this team, the club really look at it and who performs well and who moves on. When you see the growth that Simon and Ali have had coming from this team, it must give you like good feelings that the performances that you're going to have here are going to get picked up.
Oh, for sure. It's a lot of motivation, not only me, but a lot of the guys in the dressing room, the guys on the team, where we see Ali and Simon doing well in the first team, and we hope to become those type of players next season as well, and kind of help out the team the way they've been doing.
Motivation was the word I was looking for there. Already your performances have brought notice from Vanny. You got called into that Canadian Championship squad. You made your first team debut. You got your first team goal. What was that whole experience like? Let's talk through it a little bit. When did you find out that you were going to be involved?
Funny enough, I found out someone added me on Twitter, and I seen the video of Vanny doing an interview, yes. I was like, oh. In the interview, he said he didn't tell me yet.
Yeah.
And someone added me, and I was like, okay, I guess. But he didn't tell me yet in person, so I was like, okay, maybe it's just speculation. I don't know yet. And I think the next day he ended up telling me, I was excited to just first be able to go home, because I was home. I haven't seen my family in a long time, for them to come to the game, whether I played or not. So I did get the chance to play and scored, so it was an amazing feeling.
I was going to ask if you'd had a chance to get your family up, so you obviously had enough notice to do that. What was the reaction like by your family?
Oh, they're just so happy for me, and I was grateful that they were able to be in attendance because of all the sacrifices they've made throughout my career. They've sacrificed countless mornings, drives, weekends, driving to the States, driving everywhere for me to just help me just play the game I love, so I'm really grateful for that.
And the goal as well. I mean, when you went to bed the night before, you're obviously hoping, I hope I get on. I hope I maybe get a few chances. But to get a goal on your debut as well, what was that like?
It was amazing. When I scored, I didn't know what celebration to do, and I just it's actually my lock screen, the corner flag celebration. And I just remembered it, and that's the celebration I stuck with.
Now, I won't put you on the spot and ask about this Wednesday because Vanny hasn't given any hints this time as to whether you're going to be involved in the squad or not. But obviously you're allowed 4 call-ups to the first team, but you can only play twice. So you've had that one so far. But the fact that you've had that now and you've done well, what's your kind of goals? What are you pushing yourself towards now for the rest of the season?
I'm really focusing on this MLS next season. Try to, do the best we can. Try to, win everything, because that's my goal, to win everything for MLS Next, win the whole championship. So focusing on that, and if anything else happens along the way, that's just extra motivation, extra, I guess, what's the word I'm looking for? I guess gifts, that's not the word I'm looking for, but extra gifts, I guess, like from the hard work, the bonuses from the hard work from putting in with the second team.
This MLS Next Pro team, it's like, I followed the team last year, watching the team this year, the vibe, you guys really, you're a tight-knit unit. You've got yourselves, you've got Antoine, you've got Glory, so it's all strikers that are pushing to try and get to the next level. Obviously, you want to stand out as well, but you all seem to understand that you have to work as a team so that you can stand out as individuals. Yeah,
for sure. Our team is very selfless. We have a lot of players. I guess their main goal isn't to just, I want to get to the first team, forget everybody else, I got to do my thing. It's a lot of, what's best for the team, and you see it around the pitch. Everyone's putting in the extra shifts, extra work. If someone's out of position, all people are running back for them. So it's a good vibe all around, and that translates to wonderful chemistry that we have. And we're doing pretty well this season. I think we're 3rd now, and if we win our next game, we're in 2nd. So it's working out.
Fantastic, that's it. So thank you so much for your time and good luck for the rest of the season. It's a pleasure to see how well you're doing. It really is. So great stuff there from Levonte Johnson, and he's such an enthusiastic, likeable lad. You just want the very best for him. He's been lighting it up in MLS Next Pro. He's made an immediate impact when he's been called up to the first team. You've got to think he is one of those guys that's going to take the next step as well. And as we've talked about in the show, I really want to see a Johnson Betcher front line. I just think that would be so exciting to have in MLS, and it would be a real handful for a number of defences out there. I like his winning mentality as well. He's happy with the call-up. He wants to obviously make the breakthrough to MLS, but he also wants to win in MLS Next Pro. He wants WFC 2 to win the championship, and that's the kind of attitude you want amongst all the guys. And also all the girls, because the Whitecaps Girls Elite went down and won the Blue Stars FIFA Youth Cup in Zurich last week. I said went down, they went over to win it in Zurich in Switzerland, adding that title to their League 1 BC Championship game last year. Drew 1-1 with Grasshoppers, then beat Juventus 4-0, and then drew 1-1 with FC Zurich in their group matches. That set up a penalty shootout against FC Zurich to see who would advance to the final. The Whitecaps got through that, and in a very tense final against FC Basel, the Swiss side scored early. Ava Jackson levelled in the last minute to send that one to penalties. Leah Parsons making 2 big saves, and the Whitecaps Girls Elite won 4-3 and lifted the Blue Stars FIFA Youth Cup. Well done to them. Well done to Katie Collar. Get out and watch this team play in League 1 BC. They've been an absolute joy to watch. Unbeaten start to this season as well. But that is it for our Whitecaps chat for On the Pitch Matters. We're going to turn our attention now to Off the Pitch Matters with a look at the Whitecaps salaries that were announced this week, as well as a look at some of the salaries around the rest of MLS. And we'll be back with that after this.
Hi, I'm Ali Ahmed. You're listening to the AFTN Soccer Show.
Kindness is a trick to turn you strange, until you're twisted and you're shining like a varicose vein. Anger makes you weak and turns you sick. It gets you in the 6 feet nice and quick. No fair, they can talk to me. I can live alone, I can live alone. Happy where I like to be. I can live alone, 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 alone. I fought for the right to be. I can live alone, I can live alone. Fairies get their fingers and they spin your wheel, and they make you look at sunshine that your skin will never feel. Baby, do you miss the days before hope knocked on your door, but you went and fell in love, and into you love fell, and it made you feel unwell. Oh well.
Welcome back to the AFTN Soccer Show on CITR Radio 101.9 FM. And kicking off this part, it's a song I've had in my head for the last 2 weeks. It's absolutely fantastic. It's from Grian Chatton. He's the lead singer of Dublin post-punk band Fontaines DC. This is the new single from him, and the second single to be taken from his forthcoming album, Chaos for the Fly. That comes out on June 30th. That's a song called Fairlies, and it's just tremendous. I hope you love it as much as I do. I hope it's stuck in your head as much as it has been for me. And Fontaines DC, a great band as well. We'll have them as Artist of the Month, I'm sure, at some point down the line. Maybe a combination of them and Grian Chatton. Get all that songs. And there's a football connection, Zach, with Fontaines DC, because they sponsored Dublin Football Club Bohemians, their 2021-22 away jersey, in partnership with Focus Ireland, which is a homeless charity. And it's a strip I'm wanting to get because I have my collection of strips that's sponsored by bands, and I haven't got it because the postage is horrendous because they're shipping it by DHL, and it's 20 euros shipping. The strip's only 70 euros, and DHL always charge you import fees and then a fee for handling it. So altogether, the shipping's going to be about $35 for a shirt that's just costing me 70 euros. So I need to wait till I go home next time. I should have done it the last time. And
I have a friend who goes to Ireland occasionally for work. I should ask him when he's going next.
Oh yeah,
he
could pick it up from the club shop maybe.
Yeah,
if he's going to Dublin. But it's a really cool kit as well. It's got button collar. It's got some nice stuff in the back, and yeah, I will get that. I will add it to my collection one day. Maybe I just need to have more money, bigger salary to be able to afford the DHL shipping. Lovely segue, as we're going to be talking salaries, Whitecap salaries, MLS salaries in this part, because it was MLS salary release day last week. Some very interesting stuff in there from a Whitecaps perspective, from an overall MLS perspective. The Whitecaps, 23rd out of the 29 teams in salary, 12,746,625. Sounds a decent enough number, but only has them in at 23rd.
23rd is what? That's the bottom quarter? Is that right? Is it 29 teams still?
29 teams, bottom quarter, I guess, would
it's bottom quarter.
Just be on the bottom quarter.
Yeah, so that's not, just remember, the bottom quarter is not close to the top third, right?
No, it's not.
Okay. Just double checking.
But salary, Zach, do not mean you're going to be successful.
No, that's for sure.
As we will very much talk about.
No, but to be fair, before going into the names or whatever, this is something I appreciate your perspective on this. You've said this year after year after year, especially in a league like MLS where you can only bring in a limited number of higher paid players. It is always a risk. Mm-hmm. It is always a risk when you're bringing in these players because if they get injured, they underperform, they don't acclimatize, whatever. It's totally risky, just like it is anywhere else in the world. With obviously there's less restrictions other places in the world, so it's easier to move them on or replace them sometimes or whatever. MLS is more restrictive that way. It's harder to move on a bad deal. But the only counterpoint I have to that, and I've had over the years to your perspective on that, is an MLS. It's no longer you can only have one of those players. It's you can have three, and I think it's if you do your homework well, I think if you have three quality players that are earning above the whatever the current TAM thing is, used to be 1.5. I don't know what it is now. If you have three players that are earning over that, hopefully you don't miss on all three, or hope you don't have all three injured or whatever, and sink your team.
Yeah, you'd have a very unlucky season. But
So
what I
totally,
would also say though as well, like against the Whitecaps, is there's been so many questions over the years as to how they spend their money and how they distribute the money, and there's been some shocking decisions. Not as many this year, still a couple, but like Christian Dahomey, his salary went up. I can't off the top of my head, it went up to something like $960 this year, which is like to get rid of him and get him off. Although they are paying it for half the season, but to get that off is like wow.
He scored this weekend, right?
Yeah,
in that win, yeah. I saw that highlight.
Watch him come good now and be worth every penny. But I mean, there has been players over the year, Brooksy, that you have to question how that money has been spent, how it's been triggered to have increases, all that kind of stuff.
You're triggering people, Michael, right now.
I'm triggering myself just mentioning his name.
Yeah,
but I mean, as soon as it came out that the Whitecaps were 23rd, you knew it was going to be, it's same old cheap Whitecaps. Where did the Davis money go? You know, that never-ending money that is still meant to be around. But it's neglecting facts like, right above them, Philadelphia Union, MLS finalists, their salaries only $60,000 more over the year. And they came within a penalty shootout of lifting the MLS Cup and have been consistently good. The top two teams in the league in salary right now are TFC, and I've rounded all these to round figures, 25.74 million, and LA Galaxy, 23.46 million. And you could easily just say that's two clusterfucks of teams right now.
Yeah, so it obviously doesn't guarantee you success. Just like in I think in Europe it's easier because there's less limitations, so you can actually way outspend. So it's but they also, those teams that are way outspending, the revenue they make can be astronomical compared to some of the rivals.
But likewise, again, you can make good money here if you've got a guy that's going to sell jerseys locally, nationally, internationally. You recoup some of that money.
But the jersey sales are a tricky thing. There's a good Tifo video on that on the Tifo YouTube channel. You should check. I should share a link with you sometime. But anyways, the problem is though is that you have a club like the Whitecaps who then, that's what they've done like many times in the past, is they, to try and say, hey, we're not that bad at what we're doing. They try and play the comparison game of say, oh yeah, before it used to be, I remember we used to talk about Columbus, like, oh, we're, when Columbus was, in finals and doing well and whatever, they'd be like, oh look, we're in the same range as Columbus on spending. We just need to get it a little bit more right. And the same thing with the Philadelphia thing example you just gave. They'll say, oh, look, we're not that far behind, Philadelphia. So if we just get a few more things, if we can just hit on a few more, we can be right there as well. I would just say that their approach is flawed because they don't fully use the DP spots in the way that you can.
Yeah.
And unless they do that, I don't think unless they do that, I don't ever think they'll be seen as being ambitious and be able to actually compete ongoing for the upper spots in their conference.
I mean, I've been consistent in saying it would be lovely to have a big name here that folk know, that sell jerseys that you've watched in the World Cups or whatever. I don't think you need it. You just need a player that is going to perform.
Yes, that's the key.
Yeah, obviously, you'll sell jerseys, you'll get publicity. I think we were talking. I think we were talking last show, like before we recorded, the fact, like, I think it was under Martin Rennie, the Whitecaps had wanted to bring John Terry in, so it's weighing up. an older player, what would he bring? What would your jersey sales be? Weighing that up with how safe are the players' wives if John Terry's here? All that kind of stuff. And
I don't think that was true. I don't. Well, that wasn't in the Renier. That would have been Robinson, wouldn't it have
I
not?
think it was Rennie that had tried to bring him in when he was doing his just football management thing of, I'll have Kenny Miller. I watched him growing up. Oh, Barry Robson, he's good. Doing a good job with Aberdeen as manager right now. Actually, Barry Robson. We should get him on the show. I'd love to say, how did you feel about people when they said you waved your arms about too much and were very angry? How did you feel about your goalkeeper saying that you were the angriest person he'd ever met? Brad Knighton, that was. Anyway, back to this. I've got sidetracked again. But yeah, it is weighing that up, but it's also like using the other mechanisms, developing your young talent that clubs like New York, who are down in the salary spending, but they've brought in so much young talent, bringing guys on as well that you can sell on. Philadelphia has been good at bringing on young talent. Other clubs like Dallas have as well. So there's all those other mechanisms that I feel the Whitecaps have let themselves down in as well over the years.
But again, I think it's an unfair comparison to a club like Dead Bull New York because they're a part of an actual larger setup that's worldwide, right? Which is, you can talk about pros and cons.
There's that aspect of it, but they have, like New York Red Bulls 2, New York Red Bulls 3, they have been excellent at, and their academy was consistently producing players and winning the championships at U17, U19, U15 level.
Yeah, but again, if you're a supporter of them, and I don't know why you would be, but if you were, you must get a little bit frustrated and see that you're just a conveyor belt for the biggest club in the pyramid.
Yeah.
Right? Like that's got to be frustrating. You lose your best players to now Leipzig. And for them, their best coaches in the past as well, right? Like,
yeah, I mean, that's going to be an interesting thing just in general for clubs here, and I think Australia going on, because you've got the Man City model, with NYC, with Melbourne City, and it's like the success as well that those clubs are having as well. And I do feel other clubs are going to look at that. I mean, we've got it in the CPL to a much smaller extent with Atletico Madrid and Ottawa.
But that is an example because
in that.
Atletico Madrid has multiple clubs, right?
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it is unfortunately seems like the way forward. There's things I don't like about it. There's things that I think there's ways that I think you can do it that would be far more meaningful than how those clubs are doing.
I think if you're a supporter of a big club, you're wanting that and you're pushing for that because that's great. And it gives you more clubs to support around the world and take an interest in, and it gets an outlet for your young players to go and play in. But you're also then stockpiling all these players.
But if you're not at the top of that pyramid, though, then it's not very good. And again, this is, I don't know all the things. I don't know how the structure behind it all, but I never thought I'd be praising Joey Saputo on our podcast, but at least in his multi-club ownership, there seems to be a little bit like I think the Impact, which we'll always call them, have benefited from it more than Bologna.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Because they've gotten players like, I think was it Lapalainen as an example, who's come and like MLS has been more his level and he's contributed more here than he would there or whatever, and it's probably been more helpful for maybe for Joey, it's been helpful to offload that from the books of Bologna. I don't know.
But then you're also looking that Bologna is not like a top Italian side, whereas a club like Man City, a club like Leipzig are sitting high in the leagues that they play in.
That is fair. But also Bologna is a far more like bigger club in the world and historically and all that, right? You know, like they are, and they're worth. Well, maybe, I was going to say maybe they're worth more. Maybe they're not. I don't know.
No,
I think they own the stadium, so maybe, but.
And it's Italian football, which who knows what goes on behind the scenes in Italian football. I guess talking of Italians, let's look at TFC, because they're Italians. Lorenzo Insigne, 7.5 million. Federico Bernardeschi, 6.3 million. The two of them combine, and I got this from J.J. Adams' great article in The Province this week, their combined salary exceeds the payroll of 11 MLS clubs, including the Whitecaps.
Yeah.
For two
Well,
guys. They're the second and the fourth highest paid players in the league.
yeah, Bernadeschi, I think, has been maybe not value for money, but he has obviously contributed significantly. Um, I think I said this when Insigne was signed. At least one of my close Italian friends has said he's going to be a bust in MLS.
Mm-hmm.
There's no way he's going to be anywhere near what Javinko was for them, and everyone's going to be disappointed by him. And to this point, anyways, that seems to be the story. And how sad he must be watching his hometown club break a 33-year drought to win Serie A right after he leaves. But no, I mean, obviously he's made contributions from him, don't get me wrong, but he has not been he's not been able to be decisive enough for them to actually do anything, right?
Yeah. And
therefore looks overpaid.
Well, yeah, I was going to say, it's easy then when a club isn't performing, as we've just done, to point at those players and go, yeah, you're wasting all this money on those guys. I mean, there's no doubting they are absolutely top players. They're quality talent, and they do make MLS better by being in the league. But when your team is struggling, and you've got the second and the fourth highest paid player, and they're making more than a third of the league. Yeah. I mean, questions are always going to be asked.
The other problem you have when you have two players like that at a club, and I just say this based on watching them, not a any kind of stereotype or whatever, but there are two players who do not as much as you would like involve themselves in the defensive side of the game.
Yeah, which in MLS,
you can't do that.
Needed, yeah.
Going back to Taylor Torgerson, the first year of the Whitecaps being in MLS, he would say you can't have any passers in MLS. That's not how the league works. Maybe one, which is why he was so limiting in how he used Davide, because he knew Davide wasn't as strong defensively, and the way he wanted to play, and it was not the same, but similar under Rennie as well. You can't have players who are say, I'm not going to work defensively. And I'm not saying those players never work defensively, obviously, but I know recently I was watching a game where it was like, I think it might have been the cup game against Montreal, where it was like, they lost the ball and it was on Bernadeschi's side, and he was like running the other way, and he wasn't running back to help. And there was this huge gap. I think it was their second Montreal goal in that game, where you're just like, it was very unhelpful to have Bernadeschi on that side. But obviously, again, he makes huge contributions going forward.
Yeah, he also makes huge money. Did you see who the highest paid player was?
Yeah, I did, of course. Shaq, baby.
Yeah, that surprised me, actually. I thought Chicharito might have made more. Chicharito comes in at number 3. So Shaqiri, 8.15 million. Then Insigne's 7.5. Chicharito's 7.443, so basically 7.5. Then Bernadeschi's 6.29, and then Driussi 6 million.
Yeah,
but they did get good value from him last year.
Yeah, totally.
But then they didn't win anything. So, if some surprises for me in the top 5 clubs. Atlanta third, not a huge surprise. But DC have the 4th highest payroll, and Austin have the 5th. Now, Driussi, obviously, his 6 million takes up a lot of that. And then for DC, you've got Benteke that's taken up a big whack for them at about 4.5 million. But you look at like what DC have been getting output-wise as well, and you're like, have you really put together a payroll and a club that is balanced and you're getting good value for money for that? And the answer is clearly no. And I would imagine that Wayne Rooney's not on a small ticket either to be there as head coach.
Not to mention Robbo.
Yeah, well, he'll be cheap. He's just desperate to get back into management, I'm sure.
Yeah,
Chicago are 6th, actually, on 19.5 million combined salary.
Mostly because of Shaqiri. Shaqiri has 9 appearances, only 1 assist so far this year, which seems much less than last year. I'm sure.
Yeah, he was really good last year.
Really good last year.
Rounding out the top 10, Sounders, they're on 19 million in 7th. LAFC, 7.48 million, but they're only in 10th spot.
So what's their number again?
What's the Sounders, did you say?
No, LAFC?
LAFC are 10th, 17.48 million.
I missed the teen there. I thought you said 7 million. I was
Oh,
like, what?
no, that would be
17,
fantastic.
yeah.
Yeah. So they're
So again,
10th.
good use of their funds.
Yeah. So I mean, the Ben Wright, the Nashville-based journalist, he had a. I'll just actually pull this up. He worked out the wage bill, the points for this year, and the cost per point, and then goals and cost per goal. So St. Louis City were leading the way by a mile.
Yeah.
Their cost per point, 575,425.
Wow.
LA Galaxy at the other end,
Oh man.
2.6 million per point from their salary, and 2.3 million. It's what it costs per goal.
Yeah, that's pretty bad.
Whitecaps are doing not too bad in that. They are 13th in 910,000 per point and 849,000 per goal. It's crazy when you see things broken down like that. Of course, if you see it for stuff like the Premiership or Bundesliga and La Liga and stuff, it would obviously be just.
What is Vela on this year? Because he's not even top 10, right?
Let me see.
He's on less than 4.3.
Top 25 here. Vela is 14th, 3.3 million.
Wow, that seems low, doesn't it?
That's a good deal. Joseph Martinez is 10th and 4.3, so he's getting more than Vela.
Yeah.
Ladero from Seattle, he is just under Vela at 3.256, and then just under him is Rui Diaz at 3.2. What a
good player.
The highest paid Whitecap is Ryan Gauld, and he's the 21st best paid player in all of MLS at 2.5 million.
And I'm pretty sure he's the highest paid Whitecap in history ever.
Yeah.
It's not even close.
No, I mean, next to that was...
Pedro was like 1.77 or something?
Oh, I thought Cava might have been the second, but maybe it was Pedro.
Oh, maybe. You might be right.
Saturday at the game, after Vite scored, I was like just typing away, and Don Andrews was going, "The score of the Whitecaps, Pedro," and I just said automatically Morales. I was like, "Oh no, wait a minute!"
Oh man,
stuck in the past, as folk know. But Montreal, they're spending 10.5 million. They're last in all of MLS. The bottom three, actually, Montreal 29th, 10.5, St. Louis 28th and 10.9, Red Bulls 27 on 11.2, and a lot of that is because they've got so many of their academy guys that's come through, so they've been commanding lower salaries. I mean, there's definitely some eye-opening ones there. There's definitely some eye-opening players. If we look at Whitecaps, well, actually, let's look at some Canadian players first of all as well. FTF put together their list of the Canadians. Only 2 Canadian players make over 1 million.
Ozo?
Guess what? They're both at TFC.
Ozo and Richie, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ozo's on 1.4, Larea's on 1.246. In fact, the top 4 Canadian ranked or paid players are all at TFC.
Yeah.
They really need to get a grip of their salary.
I mean, Ozo, it feels like, at least it's like feels like he's earned it over the life of his time there. And same with Larea, I think,
Well, it is balancing that. And the fact that it's longevity and loyalty and you're rewarding that. Because the top 4 Canadian players is also Larea, then Ayo Akinola, who the Whitecaps had been linked with, but he's on 771,875. I would not want him here at that. He is not worth that to come to the Whitecaps in my mind.
I feel like he's still rehabilitating from like trying to refine the form he had before.
I think he could be worth that.
Yes,
but
I agree.
In the form that he's in just now, no.
I think with Larea, to me, because I think his loan deal is up in end of June. I know he might not quite be. Sorry, I think some people might think he's not quite yet at the Premier League level, or might not be able to reach those levels. But I would really like to see him go back to Nottingham, be a part of preseason and try and stake his claim because he has been so good for Canada. Like he has been like, yeah.
I don't. I mean, it seemed just to be the wrong move or the wrong team for him to go to. Although Nottingham Forest did bring in about 50 players to the squad this year. But like when you're doing that much, you're not going to get game time as players. That's why I feel it was the wrong team for him to make the move to.
But he went when they were in the championship.
Yes.
And he was only ahead of the guy who was
enough.
Well, the guy who was ahead of him was on loan and left, right? So
yeah. But then he didn't want to stay and fight. He wanted to get regular playing time, obviously, with the World Cup coming up.
Yeah.
Mark Anthony Kaye is the fourth highest Canadian at $750.
Duck. Oh, sorry. I can't make a megaphone joke. No, you made one.
Oh, aha. Very good. I went over my head at 11:42 at night, just like the megaphone did with Mark Anthony Kaye. Then the sixth highest paid Canadian player, Russell Tybert.
Ouch.
Yeah. $449,375, $625 shy of $450. That is, again, you're rewarding longevity in the league and loyalty.
Yeah.
But, wow. It's like we spoke many seasons about the money. It was a bugbear of mine with the money that the Whitecaps had on the bench certain seasons, like the Shea era and stuff like that. But you've got Tybert on the bench at that. The Whitecaps would say, well, he's earned it because he's been in the league for so long and he's a utility player and you can rely on him, etc., etc.
Except for they kept on upping his contract. Like I remember, didn't he sign like he had like 3 years left and they're like, oh, we're doing a new deal. And it was like, okay, well, hopefully this one makes more sense. But it
face of the club. I won't use that other F word. There's a few F words you could use when Russell's on the pitch, but
I mean, I'm obviously happy for him personally, but
well, yeah, I mean, why would you want to leave when you're getting that?
Well, there's a few other players that I think are like that as well from Whitecaps.
Well, let's look at the rest of the Whitecaps then, and a quick breakdown. Can I put them into good, bad, and ugly?
Your favorite categories?
Yes, I love doing this for anything. The good side. The Whitecaps have 8 players that are making under 100,000. Ahmed, Anker, Betcher, Bomer, Capania, Habibullah, Gando, and Yao. So I mean that's good bargains. And right now, you've got Ali Ahmed on a guaranteed 94,819. Fantastic. Even better, Simon Betcher is on 70,485. Absolute steal, the two of them. Now, obviously, it's their first year. That's why they're on less. But their performance should see them rewarded, as we've seen in the past, with renegotiated contracts and hopefully earning what they should be earning. But right now, you look at those and it's like, well, they're an absolute steal. And with what their output is and what they're earning, I mean, that's tremendous. I think, for me, also in the good side, but on the higher end of it, I think Kubis at 900,000 is good value. And Gressel at basically 940, I also think is excellent value. He's been my player of the season. Luis Martins, up and down season. Some good, some bad. But to have him on 300,000 for a veteran, I think that's an excellent deal as well.
I agree with you. I think those are all important players on good values. I think Vancouver is set up, the Whitecaps are set up to have this, like the eight players that are under 100 or are on lower salaries. I think they're getting value from those players. They're getting significant contribution from those players. And I agree with you. Kubas and Gressel are along with an informed gold, are the fulcrum, the crux. They're the centerpiece to the whole team.
Yeah.
And so I think that all of them are on reasonable deals.
But when you look at Luis Martins on 300,000 and then Rusty on 150 more than that, it's like, wow.
Yeah, yeah. The issues for Russell are, it's not just now. Before it used to be, hey, I don't like his playing style, or I don't like the way he's being told to play or whatever. But now more so than ever, it's now he's not playing, which I think some of
Yeah, and it's
the
like
fan
how
base
do
are
you
happy
get
with.
someone to take him on that salary as well, unless you end up paying some of it like we are with Gutierrez and Dahomey.
Well, yeah, but you're not going to find that in this league at all, I don't think.
But there was interest before in him. Minnesota wanted to take him there, and there was other clubs that were interested in him. But
Not enough to take him, not enough to get a deal done.
no, he wanted to stay as well. So there's that aspect of it. This is his
Yeah,
home.
but I mean, that's
I
not
know
how,
in
that's not how MLS works.
No, but sometimes you do have discussions with the players. That seems to be what happened. If we look at the bad, and it's bad for different reasons. Thomas Asal, 222,412. Now, for a good goalkeeper, that's good value. For a starter, that's good value. Takaoka's on 297. But if Hasal is going to be sitting on the bench all season, you've got to start questioning whether you need to move that salary on. Hasal, he's a good keeper. It's good and important to have a good backup. But as we've seen in previous years, you can get top quality backups for a lot cheaper than that. And Hasal, he got the game in the Champions League, didn't get the start against York.
Yeah, that was interesting.
He's not going to obviously start against Pacific because you don't suddenly throw him in with no other games under his belt in a big cup semi-final. So when does he play? Maybe the Leagues Cup. But to have him sitting on the bench, is there a huge difference between him and Isaac Boehmer that's on under 100,000 in terms of quality? Boehmer, when he was called upon last year, did well. He's had up and down times with WFC2, had a really good game at the weekend.
And then there's Max as well, right?
Yeah, well, there's Max as well, who they're very high on.
Yeah. I think, you know what, Michael, it's hard for me to get, like, especially with the player, to be angry or disappointed or whatever, because what I see in this deal, it just goes back to decisions that were made like 2 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
When I think it was a fair thing where they were like, look, he's going to be our number one. We're going to back him. We're going to grow with him. We're going to be patient, all that kind of stuff. And so this number for this season reflects the deal that was made at the time and
yes,
whatever.
Absolutely. And I should say for any of this, no way would I criticise any of the players. It's like you get what you can. Your playing career is a short career. I'm just talking about from Whitecaps budget management.
Well,
it's
that's what I'm saying. These things aren't made. You when you bring in a Takioka, you can't then say, "Hey, Hassel, we're changing your deal. We're giving you more backup salary," right? So this deal was given to him with him being the eye to the number one, and then in this offseason, obviously said we need to. Vanny, Axel, both of them, others said we need to be better. We need to get more from this position. Let's spend a little bit more. Let's bring someone in. You're right, though. The one way you could criticize him is then you need to move him on, loan him out, whatever, like do something, but so that it's not just kind of 200 grand just sitting there, or 200 grand plus just sitting there.
But also, it doesn't help Thomas. Like, Thomas is an excellent keeper, and he's going to have a very long career ahead of him. But he needs to be playing.
These years they'll help him financially.
Yeah, especially in a city like Vancouver. But he has to be playing. He is not developing. Because he's not playing in the twos, he's not playing for the first team, he has to play. So that's just why I just think it's a bad deal all round. Laborda at 828,000, I think Laborda's a good player. He's probably worth that. But again, if you've got a player that's good and a player that's worth that, play him.
I think based on what we've seen so far, yes, it feels like a very bad number. I think this one, you got to let it marinate a little bit more. I think in a year or after a first or second season, or even at the end of this season, let's say, if his contribution and his starts are in line with what they've been in these first number of games, then it is bad.
And
But
I should also stress as well, I'm not just saying play guys because of what their salaries are on. They
no,
have
no,
to
no,
obviously merit it and be good to
totally.
play.
So I think that one, although it looks bad now, I agree with you. It looks bad now. I think that one, the long term things could change on that.
Yeah. Pedro Vite on basically 646,000. I've got that in the bad category just because I don't feel we're getting the output from him just yet to merit that. But there's definitely a good player there, and hopefully that comes to turn out to be, that's a bargain, that salary.
Yeah, can you remind me? Is he like a young DP still, or was he
I think
brought
he's
in
one of
on
the under 23. He was
DPs,
brought in
right?
as an under 23, yeah.
Yeah. So that, I mean, that amount is in line with that kind of
Yeah.
slot. So I think it's a fair criticism to say the production is not there to be in that type of slot, but I think his trajectory is on the upward swing.
Yeah. I've liked what I've seen from him so far. We just need that more consistent. Keep doing it. Ranko on 580, 500 when you've got Blackman on 451. And there's your difference between a domestic player and a guy that's coming from Europe. And I mean, I've said I didn't feel Ranko's been worth the salary for the last couple of years. He's a good centre back. For that money, I feel you could get a much better centre back than what Ranko is. I believe his contract's up at the end of this year. It's like he's over in Serbia just now. Dangle the little carrot to maybe any European teams if they want to have a look at him.
Well, and he did get called in for Serbia in January, right?
But that was a domestic camp. It was like here in the US.
Yeah, I think you're exactly right in terms of this is the difference between an American player and a European player. But you also have to wonder how that plays out, relationally amongst all these people. Because that is one of the maybe potentially awkward things where you look over and you're like, the guy next to me is making more than me, and I'm obviously contributing more, making less errors or whatever. Yeah, it makes Blackman look more like a obviously in the good category.
Yeah, you've also then got this situation with Gressel, where he's going to be a free agent at the end of this year, and there's been all this talk all season about will the Whitecaps re-sign him, will they give him a new deal? So his deal just now is 940, which I'm saying is good value for what he's producing. But then he obviously needs to be on more than that to tempt him to stay. Is he worth more than that? Will another club give him more than that?
And in MLS, they can renegotiate a deal in the middle of the year, right?
Oh, yeah.
Like they do with Rusty, right? So,
yeah, and you can obviously buy it down with various mechanisms as well, so it looks better on paper.
But you have to think if they're smart, if they feel that they want to keep Gressel because he's produced so well in his time so far here, that it would be advantageous for them to do that, as opposed to, say, waiting to see what happens when the other offers come in. Maybe they can get him at a lower number. Not a lower than what he's on, but a lower than what they might have to offer him right mid-season to have him re-sign.
And the better the season he has, the more this number in his mind is going to be.
But isn't there also limitations what a free agent can make? Isn't it like only 5 or 10 or 15% more or something?
Can't remember that. You might be right. It does kind of ring a bell.
Yeah.
Because I know Kai Kamara always had that issue. He felt he wasn't getting offers of what he feels he was worth.
So he would skip free agency and then go to be like unattached or whatever. Yeah. So with Gressel, though, I think the Whitecaps can't take that risk because, I don't think, depending on if they have a right of, of offering or matching an offer or whatever, you can't take that risk if it is only a 5 or 10 or 15% increase. You got to think they would offer him something at least at that mark or a little bit above to try and say, hey, let's have your next year be, that much of a raise, and even future years maybe be beyond that potentially.
But then, as we talked about before, you've got the states that offer tax-free status to some of these guys.
Oh, yeah,
their stuff, suddenly they earn so much more money. But he's settled here. He seems happy here. His wife's pregnant again with her second child. So it's all those factors to take into account.
But for the Whitecaps, you're playing on an uneven playing field that you chose to play on. So you can't say, "Hey, this field sucks," but you chose to play there.
True,
You know what I
but
mean?
if they said, well, I'm going to move to the CPL, we wouldn't have any of this talent because the salary cap's so much lower.
Right. And at this point, obviously, the CPL wouldn't welcome them.
No, because obviously they don't want the Whitecaps to win week in, week out and have unbeaten seasons like the old CSL days.
Yeah, I don't think that's quite it. But
on the ugly side, aside from Tiber, the two I've put in here, and again, nothing against the players, but Alessandra Schopf, who I think is a quality player, but on 992.5, isn't producing what you want from a player on that just now, and he's maybe still not at his best. We've seen glimpses. I hope he proves me wrong by the end of the year. And Cordova at 1.05, it's... As soon as you've got that DP tag, as soon as you're making more than $1 million, you've got those shackles on you that you have to perform. He knows that. He has to find his goal scoring form soon.
To counterbalance the ugly status for these two, I think I remember a European Whitecap back in the day saying, in the MLS era, saying, people here are like, think some of the salaries are crazy or whatever, but like, they aren't on the level of Europe. And so you have two players who are experienced players coming from European situations where I can't vouch for the actual contracts that they were on in their previous spells in Europe and Germany specifically, but I don't know that their wages here would be crazy outlandish, comparatively speaking to what they were or could have been making over there. So that's the only counterbalance I would say. I don't disagree that they fall in the ugly category at this moment, but I don't think that their wages are necessarily crazily out of whack with their value in the larger footballing world.
No, that is very, very fair. And that's what we always like to be on the AFTN Soccer Show. But that is our chat for our salaries. Let us know your thoughts on them. I know there's been a lot of chat on social media this week. That is it for the MLS chat too. We've got one more part to go. We're going to be talking FIFA World Cups. And we've got a fantastic song to kick off this part as well. We'll be back with that after this.
Hi, I'm Jay Herman, and you're listening to the AFTN Soccer Show.
Back in the day, before the draw, I wore spliffy jeans and NAFCO 54, but that wasn't the look I was going for. There was a missing piece to this jigsaw. I wanted more to my attire, to make my look hotter than a deep fat fryer. Then I found it, love at first sight. This was fashion at its height. Hold the front page, let me shout about the best brand in the world, without a doubt. You better join us, cause you'll never beat us. I'm Mike Ball, and I'm wearing Adidas.
He's Mike Adidas, he's like Jesus. Wearing a tracksuit, he's Mike Adidas. He's Mike Adidas, he's like Jesus. Wearing a tracksuit, he's Mike Adidas.
I wear Adidas on the street, and when I'm doing my raps over this beat, Adidas shoes on my feet, Adidas hat on my head. I'll be wearing Adidas in my coffin when I'm dead. Adidas wallpaper, cushions on my seat, got an Adidas towel, underpants and bed sheets, got loads of Adidas trainers I could wear, but I always ends up putting on the same pair. The others are in boxes, like in a museum. I'll charge an entry fee if you want to come and see them. I might wear Fila, but I won't wear Nike. Other brands don't mean shit to Mike. I love Adidas so much that it's strange, I'd even contemplate wearing the women's range.
He's Mike Adidas, he's like Jesus. Wearing a tracksuit, he's Mike Adidas. He's Mike Adidas, he's like Jesus. Wearing a tracksuit, he's Mike Adidas.
Welcome back to the AFTN Soccer Show on CITR Radio 101.9 FM. And kicking off this part, friends of the show, Goldie Looking Chain from Newport in Wales with their new single, Mike Adidas, all about Mike Balls. He's Mike Adidas, he's like Jesus, Zach. Mentions Adidas and Jesus, it's your ideal song. You're going to love this when you hear it, I'm sure. You'll be singing it all week.
I'll let you know.
It's great to see them back. I had my Newport Corinthians Dragon Top on whilst I was doing commentary this week at TSS because Seattle were town, their dragon shirt, I thought I'll wear the better dragon one. It's sponsored by Goldie Looking Chain as well, so it was then great to see that they had their new single out this week. It's it's nice to have good things to talk about, because we're not talking about good things next. In my mind, maybe you'll convince me otherwise.
No, I won't convince you, but
okay. The official 2026 World Cup branding, emblem, logo, whatever you want to call it, it came out this week, and in my mind, it's fucking awful. You said it maybe isn't.
no, yeah, I'm looking at all the history of the ones.
Yeah, I sent you that. 'Cause they sent that out in the media release, and I was like, I don't think that was a good idea to put that out in the media release of what the other ones have looked like.
A number of these other ones are not great, right?
No, yeah, some of them are horrible. Like they released the
82?
emblem history.
Like Spain 82 is pretty bad. I'm sorry.
I'm going to open these back up again as we look at this. What we'll say about the FIFA 2026 one is it's not just hideous on one level. Each of the 16 hosts get their own colour variation of it to make it hideous on a number of levels.
Oh, is that all it is? A color variation?
Yeah. Each city, and it ties in with the city. Vancouver looks to be like blue and gold from what I can kind of tell. But yeah, if we look at some of the previous ones, I asked you to kind of pick your favourites and your least favourites. España 82 is quite basic. It's the Spanish flag with a football.
That one is awful.
I know you're going to like the Germany one, but it's just some very...
Which one? Which one?
Oh, sorry, Germany 2006.
Yeah, but that one, I don't like it because of all the colors, but I like it because I went there and because it was in Germany, you know what I mean? So like aesthetically, I don't like it, but I have like a nostalgic attachment to it.
I like they've really changed it. Because the early days...
it was like a cool poster.
Yeah. And I love
propaganda
those.
posters.
They're my... Yeah, good job Germany didn't host it.
Well, Italy won.
Oh, yeah, Italy's one from... Italy was 34, wasn't it? Yeah. Yeah. I like the first one, the Uruguay one. I like the first Brazil one as well from 1950. The Swiss one's very basic. It looks more like a Swiss bank.
Yeah, it looks like the what's it called, IMF or something.
Yeah, I really like Chile in '62. It's got the stadium.
You like violence, so.
Oh, that famous game from that World Cup.
Yeah.
Obviously, the '66 one just makes me want to be sick. Just looking at it, I've got some sick in my mouth. I mean, some of them actually they're more basic than I actually thought they were. When
Mexico
you see them
70, like why is
out.
it blue? I don't understand. Like.
Blue balls in Mexico.
Even like Germany 74, it looks like, is that like a take on a Saudi Arabia flag?
Yeah, it looks a little bit like the Pakistan flag.
Yeah, Pakistan. Yeah, but I know Germany's second color was always green, but why is it green? I don't know. The Argentina 78 is not bad. Spain 82 is awful. Mexico 86 is better than 70, but not by much.
Yeah, it looks like it's some kind of news show about football or something.
Italia 90 is not great, but I like the font.
USA, I like the kind of the ball kind of like the 3D effect almost of it.
USA I don't like it because it's the American flag, but it actually is probably pretty
I
good
quite like.
design.
I think it's quite striking. No pun intended, because their mascot was called Striker.
That's what I mean. I don't like it because it's the US, but I think it's very fitting. Again, but you go to like France, like it's a ball coming over the horizon of the world.
Yeah,
like that's not great.
I mean, when I first saw the 2026 one, and I was like, oh, this is terrible. It's like a joke. But then you look at some of the other ones, and you're like, oh, some of them are awful.
Yeah.
But they've done it. I tell you what I think are the two best ones is 2014 Brazil and 2018 Russia.
Russia, yes.
You've got the World Cup logo, and you've got things with it. And I don't know why they didn't do that.
It looks like the trophy, yeah.
Yeah.
And Japan, Korea is similar.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So someone came up with a great one that was doing the rounds on social media that combined like the Mexican and American and Canadian like iconology and like maple leaves and Azteca designs and stuff, and it looked amazing. And I don't know why they didn't go for something like that.
Even South Africa, like again, I don't love the colors, but at least I know they're from their flag.
Yeah,
It's it feels like, and the font, like it feels like, yeah, it's South Africa's World Cup, like, but yeah, this one, it feels like a giant number font with the trophy in the middle, and yeah.
It feels to me though that this is what it's now going to be going forward, just by what they've said in the press release.
Oh, that's
because like they've said, for the first time in history, an image of the actual trophy and the tournament hosting year is being depicted.
But nothing of the culture of any of the hosts.
No. Forming an innovative design language that anchors the FIFA World Cup emblem for 2026 and beyond.
No, that's not good.
So the fact that they're saying a design language for the next one and beyond makes me think every year now is just going to be this.
No, we need to go back to the Brazil 1950 or stuff like that. Or
it looks like something you would have come up with in the 90s when computers were just like, oh, I've got the World Cup trophy, I'll stick that on the horrendous font.
Yeah. Like it feels like 26 is like is that the year of obesity? Like it's so big.
It's kind of it's almost a little bit like it's a bird's beak. It's like two chubby birds.
Oh man!
I won't make the joke I was going to make.
You better not. The more we talk about it, the less I like it.
Yeah.
I still, in one sense, maybe don't feel like it's the worst of them, but at the same time, it feels like a missed opportunity for sure. And the other thing, which feels weird in this, someone got paid a ton of money to make that thing,
and probably millions.
And every single person's like, I could have gone on Canva and made the exact same thing or better.
Yep. Colin Smith, the FIFA World Cup COO, said, and I copied this quote in, "Today's launch is the culmination of an exciting collaboration between FIFA and the 16 host cities." Now, I will say, each host city having its own colour scheme and design, that's quite neat. I like that, if it was a better design. Then he says, months ago, we embarked on a creative journey together to ensure that the colours, cultures, people and places synonymous with each city were ingrained in every element of the city brand identities.
I haven't seen this. Have they come out, these ones yet?
They're all out. They were announced the next day. I don't think I sent you that. I've got it up.
How did I miss them? I've seen stuff on the Vancouver Facebook page.
So for the main one, they went with black, white, and gold. Gold being the trophy, because they wanted a restrained colour palette to let the trophy shine.
Oh, I see that.
Instead, the trophy just looks stupid.
Yeah, it looks lonely. It looks like a poster. Looks like the poster I have of the World Cup from like the 90s. Okay, I see. Sorry, I see the other ones now, and most of them are awful.
Yeah, it's just like throwing some colours in.
Except for the one, San Francisco has the bridge in the background. Oh, and Atlanta.
Well, they've said as well for the main 26 design, the year 2026 is composed of 48 units to represent the 48 nations who will compete.
Sorry, what now?
Yeah. So they're talking about the shape of it. So they're like, the use of squares and quarter circles gives the mark of a timeless simplicity with subtle references to the squared edges of the pitch and the circle of the ball. The year 2026 is composed on 48 units, which I don't understand, to represent the 48 nations competing.
So there's 48 squares or whatever.
Yeah, there must be.
Well, that's dumb.
Yeah.
Vancouver's is very boring.
And then they're going with the tagline, "We are 26." I wish it was 26. Awful. Happy days. Britpop was in its ascendancy. East Fife had a decent team.
Why is Toronto yellow and blue? I guess blue is their theme.
I don't understand what some of the colour schemes are for at all. They have got a...
Boston looks like the Celtics.
Well, they've got
Boston and Seattle are the same. Or they're just maybe a different shade.
They'll be slightly different because each one is slightly different.
What color is Vancouver's?
It looks like blue and gold to me.
Okay.
which I haven't seen anything explain why, because they had an event here, but none of the football media were invited to it.
It
was just the city that had it. So they've got a portrait campaign for We Are 26, and BC Place is one of the 9 images that's featured on it, so that's kind of cool. Good job we're in, really. And it does look very striking. It's great to have that on it. But just overall, I just think this is just such a wasted opportunity.
Yes.
And it could have done so much more to capture the 3 unique cultures. Because you've got 3 hosts on the same continent that are very different countries. And they've got very different cultures and identities. And you had this chance to put it all in the branding, and they've just completely missed it. Let's talk about other better FIFA World Cup stuff, because the FIFA Under-20 World Cup is in full flow. Have you seen any of it, Zach?
No.
Because I've been speaking to a couple of people this weekend about it, and every single person said the same thing. Oh, I didn't know it was on. Where can I watch it? It's on TSN. But folk have just seemed to miss it. But there is, as I've said, so much football on just now. But
wait, TSN has football on?
Yeah. It's got the Canadian rights to it. Elsewhere in the world, you can watch all the games on FIFA Plus, their own streaming app. But in Canada, it's all on TSN. They haven't been showing all the games, but they've shown most of the games. And there's been some cracking games so far. I want to start off by saying well done to Jay Herdman's New Zealand. They got off to a winning start. Jay played 89 minutes. New Zealand beat Guatemala 1-0. And fantastic. Sets them up well for the rest of the tournament. Elsewhere in their group, Argentina had a fantastic game against Uzbekistan. Argentina fell behind to Uzbekistan, got it back on level terms. Then Uzbekistan got a penalty that I still think should have been a penalty. I don't think it was clear and obvious to overturn it, but video review ruled it out, and then Argentina came away with a 2-1 victory. This tournament is in Argentina. They need the hosts to do well. But an interesting thing about this tournament, Zach, video review, the referees are mic'd up and they announce the decision to the crowd and to the people at home. I love it. I hope it keeps going, and I hope they have this for everything, to clear up the misunderstanding for fans in the stadium, to clear up any misunderstanding for fans at home, and for the commentators as well, who may not have the full grasp on it. It hasn't been had to be used much so far, but it's been used well. I really like it. I definitely hope it continues. Just a couple of other games to quickly talk about. US needed stoppage time to beat Ecuador 1-0. England got through 1-0 as well. Korea beat France today in a cracking match 2-1. I might actually be Sunday. I'm mixing my days up. Gambia and Honduras was a cracker as well. And Gambia won that 2-1. Honduras equalised but had a goal ruled out by video review. Fantastic stuff. Check it out. And again, good luck to Jay Herman and Finlander of the Whitecaps, and hopefully New Zealand can go on a bit of a run in this tournament. But that is it, pretty much, for the football chat. We've got this week's wavelength to bring you, though, and I'm keeping the World Cup theme going. It's by an Atlanta, Georgia artist this week called P. Way, also known as Professor Whaley. This is from 2000. This is his hip-hop soccer anthem, Copa Mundial.
Wait, back out, Whaley, wait! Where? You started early. You better do something over here. You better throw the hip. That's it. I'm on everything in this motherfucker.
Oh! Just let me hear the beat.
To all the true fans, you have to know the facts. You have to break it down, you have to take it back. Before the SF Seals was the All Blacks, and it doesn't stop there. Oh no, it goes back. Call me Mr. hustle on the basketball court, but soccer still is my favorite sport. I played since I was 5, it helped to keep me alive. We used to roll from Frisco to the tournament to Hoorah. Bumping 415, coop nut, rolling up 12 deep to the field like, yeah, what's up? None of y'all know me, none of y'all can hold me. Max at fullback and Double J playing goalie. We on a mission, stomping all competition, attacking your pack, Roshane Watkins and Shiny Simpson, and all my focus. Had everybody wearing copas, shaking fools in the game. Giddy was the dopest. Sick and Ty was legendary on the field. They talk about a skill from Frisco to Brazil. If you wanna know the old school players on the roster, check the pictures on the wall at Sunset Soccer and pay tribute cause the history's deep. And you know we on point like corner kicks from Sharif. I still kick the ball, I never quit. Got love for the game, locks hang like Ruhulik. Yeah, and it don't stop. Frisco in the house and it don't stop. Yeah, straight go by, go breaking down that knowledge about that wonderful game. Yeah, straight go by, go by. Yeah, straight go by, go by. Straight go by, go by. Straight go by, go by. Let me break down the math. 11 on 11, 245-minute halves. No matter how fast, no matter how much skill, the ball is still the quickest player on the field, and that's real. Watch the run, cause one touch is hard to follow. If not Cobas, I used to sport lottos. Okuma Grand Finales, it's like a finale. If my team is down, we always rally. With the World Cup mentality, nothing but 100% is what my team gets out of me. That's how I was raised, coach to play, to pave the way. With my music like Pele, I play to win, so my jersey is dirty. Defending my goals, just like Brianna Scurry. Quick as Kobe Jones when I give it those. Try to dribble too much, you get slide tackle for show. Control my flow like George Weah, sporting Adidas. Been doing this for years. Soccer's a white sport was all I used to hear. But travel the world, the most colorful games played. It's the Copa Copa. Mundial, straight Copa Copa. Mundial, it's the Copa Copa. Mundial, straight Copa Copa. Mundial, it's the Copa Copa. Mundial, straight Copa Copa. Mundial, Copa Copa. Mundial, straight Copa Copa. Mundial, yo. Straight Copa Copa. It's the biggest game in the world. It's all one love, and there's only one sport that brings everybody together. That's that sport called soccer. For all those who don't know, more people play soccer than football, basketball, baseball combined. For sure, it's people in the inner cities, you know, people of color playing this game. But see, it's really not even called soccer, it's called football. Straight up. Africa, Asia, South America, China, Ireland, Iceland, the Bundesliga, the Premier League, Peruvian leagues, Italian league, Puerto Rico, wherever you go, Australia, they're kicking the ball, non-stop. Yeah, straight, go by, go by. Yeah, straight, go by. All my old school homies out there playing. Do y'all thing. Yeah, straight, go by, go by. 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 Yeah, straight, go by, go by.
P-Way there, Copa Mundial, rounding off tonight's show and the World Cup chat. It's been a lot to chat about. Zach, thank you for being with me again. Any final thoughts from you this week? Any goodbyes? Anything funny that's caught your eye?
Yeah, you can find me on Twitter at Zachary. I'm occasionally tweeting there. I think, this was a penultimate weekend of Bundesliga football, and it was Bundesliga continues to be such an incredible league. I know some people don't like it for various reasons, like yourself, Michael, but it's incredible.
I haven't actually looked at the standings of late. Have Bayern won it?
No, of course not. No, it's
let me
been
get
the
this
tightest.
up just now.
They're in second, Michael. Actually, they're probably gonna lose for the first time in a decade.
Oh, now I might start watching it.
Yeah, there's 1 week left, but no, it's been a great season for so many different reasons. But the one thing I want to give a shout out today was this weekend was a striker named Nils Peterson had his final home game for for Freiburg. He's a center forward who's scored a bunch of goals coming through places like Cottbus. Played for Bayern, I think a little bit for Werder Bremen, but really made his home at Freiburg. He, I think he's all-time leading scorer actually for Freiburg in the Bundesliga. But he is for sure the all-time leading scorer as the Joker, or what's known as the Joker in Germany, which is he has the most goals as a substitute in Bundesliga history. He is, I think, now 34 because he scored again this weekend as he came off the bench as a sub once again to help lead his team to victory and take a step closer to their first ever Champions League berth. So yeah, just shout out to Nils and
sure
to
he's
Bundesliga for that. Oh yeah, of course he's listening. But no, I'm really looking forward to the last weekend. Dortmund's likely going to smash Mainz at home.
Yeah, I was just looking to see who they're playing. So they're playing 9th, and then Bayern's playing the 10th.
Yeah.
Two teams with nothing to play for, and Mainz have lost their last 4 games.
They have, yes. But Mainz have had a fairly respectable season on the whole. Yeah, they're in poor form right now. But Dortmund at home, I think, is gonna smash them. I can't see. There's been such a back and forth in these last number of weeks. Bayern and Dortmund have switched a few times, and so I can't see it switching on the final day of the season. Although that has happened before Bundesliga history, and I wouldn't mind if it went that way.
So is this Saturday or Sunday?
Saturday. So this is actually something else. So all the games are all at the same time, right?
Yeah.
The crappy thing was about this weekend, Michael, and I was all ready for it. And then when I looked at the went on to Sportsnet World to PVR stuff, I was like, wait, what? This is I don't know if it's the first time they switched, but I did not like it because they used to do the penultimate match day and the final match day. Both of them were all at the same time. So your last home game and your last away game were everyone's playing at the same time. And I really hope they go back to that because that would have made this weekend even better, I think, than it already was. And but yeah, there were some like I said, some huge gaffes, some amazing goals, even some good defending. But yeah,
I will watch that this weekend because it'll be in Sportsnet as well. I guess one of the games, probably.
Yeah, I think the Bayern game is scheduled to be on, or is it the Dortmund one? I forget. One of them is scheduled to be on regular Sportsnet. One of them is on Sportsnet World, and then depending on your package, you can obviously watch stuff online as well. But yeah, Fonzie's out injured. That's partly the reason, in my opinion, for Bayern's fall. But not holistically the reason, but part.
Is he going to be good for June?
Oh, he's on the preliminary list, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, hopefully. He is back, I think. Well, he was back on the pitch. I don't know if not in full training. And I don't think he'll be, no matter where he's at, I'm pretty sure they're not going to risk him this weekend. But in theory, I think he should be available for Canada. Now, obviously, Bayern would probably wish that he would take the summer to rest, but I think Canada needs him for both Nations League and for Gold Cup. And so hopefully those are good for his recovery and getting ready for the season and returning to form, and potentially even in an ideal world, in my ideal world, signing a contract extension at Bayern.
Or going to Real Madrid? I saw that rumor.
No, that
hopefully not. And hopefully not
good.
to Man City or something like that either.
Oh, that would be awful.
Oh, definitely would.
It's really interesting though. If Dortmund do win the title, they'll have won the title the year after they sold Holland. So they never won with Holland. But then they sold him and then won.
Interesting.
Of course, Holland won his first year at City.
Yeah.
But
yeah, that was looking like a good battle, and then it just came off the rails quickly for Arsenal.
Also, Vancouver FC is playing Sunday, 5:00, versus the mighty Valor FC out at Willoughby.
I will miss it. I will be commentating on altitude, sadly. I haven't got out to a game yet, but hopefully soon I will get to a game.
Well, you'll be there on the Tuesday in June for sure.
Tuesday?
There's a Tuesday game in June 20th against Forge.
Oh, yeah, I think that is one I can definitely make.
Yeah, there you go.
So, there we go. I've been watching the English and Scottish playoffs, and it's been some fantastic stuff. Did you see what happened in the Sheffield Wednesday Peterborough game?
No.
Right. So, first leg, Peterborough, Darren Ferguson, Alex's son, is the boss. 4-0, won at home. Looked like they were fine. They were going to be in the final. 4-0 lead. Sheffield Wednesday. Well, at the end of that game as well, there's a Sheffield Wednesday fan, a young lad, fucking knob, that had his ticket for the second leg, ripped it up on camera, threw it away and went, fuck them. So, Sheffield United won the second leg 5-1.
Wait, United or Wednesday?
Sorry, Sheffield Wednesday won the second leg 5-1, which made it 5-all in aggregate, and then it went to penalty shootout, and Sheffield Wednesday won and got through to the final. It was so much drama. Is
this the championship?
Yeah.
Yeah, because Sheffield.
Oh no, sorry,
United,
it's League One to go to the championship.
Right? Because Sheffield United is promoted out of the.
So they're in the Premier League. So no, this is League One to the championship.
Yeah.
So it was 4-0 after the first leg. Then Sheffield Wednesday scored early. Then it was 2-0 at half time. So it was 4-2. Then they got a third goal, and they were throwing everything at it. And then something like the 98th minute. They scored the equaliser and made it 4-all. And I was trying to say to Caitlin, who doesn't like football, this is why sport and football is so magical. It's the raw emotion, because you saw the Sheffield Wednesday folk going mental, and then you saw the despair on Peterborough, and it's tied at 4-all. Goes to extra time, Peterborough take the lead, and then run over to the Sheffield Wednesday fans, and it's all like, shh. And then they somehow did not. Sheffield Wednesday should have had a guy sent off, and it wasn't. And then they got the fifth goal, and then it went to penalties, and then they won in penalties. It was an absolutely incredible. There's 21-minute highlights on YouTube. Go find it, people, if you want to watch that. It's tremendous stuff. And the weekend before, like last weekend, I'd watched the National League playoff to get into the Football League, which was Notts County and Chesterfield, because Notts County had finished second to Wrexham, and they'd got over 100 points in the season, and it looked like they weren't going to go up, and they needed a late goal to take it to extra time, and then they won as well. And so it's been absolutely tremendous drama, and in Scotland as well, there's been some great playoff games. Albion Rovers have dropped out of the Scottish League. The Spartans are now in the Scottish League. It's a little Edinburgh club. Fantastic story. They're actually a really good community club. Folk kind of hate them a little bit because they're a posh club. They're a sports club. But they do so much for the community. I'm delighted to see them in the Football League.
I'm looking forward to the German promotion relegation playoff.
I was just looking at it. Is it Bochum?
Well, it's not determined.
Yes.
Going into the last game, so Hertha Berlin got relegated this weekend for the 7th time, I think, in their history. And so they're down. But the old lady. I think there's 5 teams that could still either finish in that second relegation spot or in the relegation playoff spot. So it will be interesting to see how the last weekend plays out at the bottom of the table as well as the top. But it is determined in the second division that HSV Hamburg will get another shot at trying to make their return to the Bundesliga after their first ever relegation. Like 3, 4, 5 years ago? Probably I can't even remember how long it's been now, but it's been a while.
I was going to make a Wayne Rooney old lady going down joke, but I'll save that for another show. I'll wait till we play DC United. And on that note, let's end this one. Thank you for being with us. Just enjoy this wonderful feast of football, as I keep saying every week. We've got Canadian Championship this week. There's more MLS, CPL, League One BC. Get out and support whatever club you live near. Go and watch some live football. There's nothing like it. It's a great game. The emotions are just wonderful. We'll be back with another episode soon. Until then, thanks for listening. Take care. And mon the Caps.
Going to your first match is an experience you never forget. The atmosphere of what's going on around the pitch looks beautiful, and you always look and go, wow, I'd love to play here one day. If you get the bug, it's going to stay with you for life.